Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm speaking to the microphone. Welcome back, everybody. Today's gonna be a cool class. I think I'm gonna start off with just a cool idea or two ideas and statements. I'm gonna just basically on these two ideas really fast, but hopefully everybody's tuned in. If you tune in late, those who tune in late, should maybe every once in a while just remind folks to go back and catch the beginning of the class. I'm going to um, before I jump into stuff, I want to mention a couple things. One is that we had two people who caught COVID, not in class, but somewhere out and about. They're not here today. Um, COVID is still a thing, y'all. And as you guys know, COVID is not nice to those who's not nice to themselves. Invest in yourself, right? Just invest in yourself. Move your body. Try to eat better. Don't have to eat good all the time. Don't have to be perfect. Don't need to be able to run um, a mile under 4 minutes. But take care of yourself because COVID is just still a thing, and no one's close to death or anything. They're just they're down for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. I think at this point, nobody wants to catch the flu because it just shuts you down, and it's hard to shut you down when you try to rev back up from being shut down for 2 years. So just be careful out there. Just be smart as you can, but you can't really avoid something you can't see. So what I would suggest for everybody is just take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Um, don't work out to be sexy. Work out to be here. Don't eat to be sexy. Eat to be here. Um, and learn to find the joy of eating. I'm gonna talk about the podcast at the end of my little session. Me and Court are gonna split the class up into two sessions, but I'm gonna try to close out with some questions. One question was logged up by Scott, another one by Jasmine. Jasmine's not here, but her and her team listened to the class from home. But it had to do with the podcast were on habits that we posted, and at some point I think I may teach. The trap theory that she talked about in the podcast, because it's way deeper than the actual podcast. That trap theory is tied to neuroscience and some of the latest findings that's changed a lot in psychology. To it's also reinforcing the science of stuck, and I make the connection sooner or later. But and I explain to you where I'm going with that later, a little bit later. But quick thing, one, there's just a couple of things I heard just recently. Um, being an entrepreneur, it's about being serious. I'm gonna keep that really simple. It's about being serious. If you want to do good in this business stuff, you gotta be serious about it. I think some people get into this entrepreneur stuff and they kind of want to treat it as just almost like a hobby type thing. They're not serious. I just want to encourage you guys, like, it really requires, I'm going to loop this all the way back by the time I get to the end of my little session, but you have to be serious in this entrepreneur journey. It's not designed for those who are not serious. And I'm going to get into why that's important shortly. Second thing is, second highlight I want to bring to the table. There is no climbing or there is no growth without friction. There is no growth. These are just fast points I want to make real quick. There's no growth without friction. Why am I saying this? Because we're in a society that loves to virtual signal against friction, right? So, for example, I was talking to Jordan earlier, and he was saying, he's talking to a group of black people about selling like Valentine's stuff on the streets. And somebody black said, yeah, but if we did that, white people wouldn't let us because they would do all these things to prevent us from selling it on the streets. And I said, well, let's just say even though that's not true. It's in the way they think. It's in their own mind. But let's just say they did. As an entrepreneur, that doesn't matter to you. You welcome friction. To demonize friction and join these conversations that friction is bad, it's like being a basketball player and complaining the court's too high because Jordan's the only one could dunk like that, and that's not fair to the rest of us, right? Like, you're playing this competitive game. That friction is part of the game, but yet we're in a society that's always saying, well, the court's too high and the floor is too sleek, and maybe we should let LeBron sit because he scored too many points, and maybe Steph Curry should just like he only after he shows 5 threes, we shouldn't count him anymore because I want to make sure that everybody's equal. But that's not business. Business is a natural born friction exercise, and so there's two ways to look at friction. One side could be complaining about what's wrong with the friction. And the other side can welcome the friction and look at the friction as an obstacle to overcome to achieve what they want to achieve. And the friction point protects the integrity of business. If everybody was able to become successful businesses, we would have a lot of bad businesses. But the friction is a natural invisible hand that cleans up businesses, right? It only lets the best businesses rise to the top, and we all benefit from that. Let's use restaurants, for example. Let's say somebody was a poor cook and they poorly protected the ingredients and they ran a poor restaurant, and there was and that was just accepted standard. That means we all be sick, we would have horrible restaurant experiences. But what allows us to have great restaurant experiences is competition and friction, right? Because friction removes the weaker and the less qualified. It's a natural selection. And so this whole idea of highlighting friction and then sitting amongst your peers to talk about how friction is why we can't have certain things, that is not the conversation of entrepreneurs. We embrace friction because the higher you climb, the friction is going to be out of this world. Like, for example, you start a small business, your main friction is you. Number one friction is you. You're the number one friction when you first start a business. And then you get to a certain level, and it may turn out to be other businesses similar to yours. Then you get to another level, it turns out to be your city government. You get to another level, it can turn out to be the feds. It get to another level, it can turn out to be China or the rest of the world. And those levels of frictions, even though I mentioned them really easy, they come with levels of complexities you can't even begin to imagine. So when you hear conversations where people are shutting down friction, even if the friction is unfair, even if the friction comes from people you don't like, that's part of the game you in. That's the game you in. Like, when you become an entrepreneur, ain't nobody signed up to like you. They sign up to destroy you and take your position. They don't care about your kids, your family, your dreams, your hope, where you were born, where you gonna die. They don't give a shit. They want that market. And it's your role to sustain that, take that position in the market and protect that market. But you don't get to complain because you lost. Now you want to talk about the referees and the color of the lights and the court was too high and the net was too white. No, you don't get to do that as an entrepreneur. You figure it out. You're a creative solution-driven person. But whining about frictions is the language of the weak. Sorry. So stop sitting in these circles. You know what's wrong with this? You know why they won't let us do that? Yeah, look, then nobody's supposed to let you do anything. Like that's what business is. I ain't gonna just let you come in my city, make millions of dollars, and do what the hell you want. Every business deals with friction. But what happens is we get used to this trend of cowardly behavior, which I was talking about before the cameras came on, where we kind of want to always highlight all the weaknesses, all the unfair and all the historical wrongs and everything somebody said that was not right. Who gives a flying fuck? That's the game you in. You mean you so fucking soft, all I need to do is walk into your office and call you a name and take your position? Shit, that's that easy? Man, hey, if you're in competition with me and I find out it's that easy, I'm going to be the one to walk through your door. You ain't shit with your punk ass. Ah! Yep, thank you. I'm out. Like, that's how weak some of us are. Mama used to say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Some of y'all are like, yes, it will. There's a saying that says, if my words hurt you, then you hurt yourself. Because you let my words hurt you. It's true, I put my hands on you. Even if I have power over you is not a guarantee. If I have power over you, I have power over you right now. Don't mean I will have power over you tomorrow. Don't have a power over you next week. Don't mean that you may have power over me next. But when you look at power as fixed and you're a victim of all these fixed systems, that's called a growth mind. That's called you have a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. Growth mindset says that wherever you are today, you can grow out of it. Fixed mindset says what it is what it is. So we love to sit around and highlight white supremacy as a fixed system. It's designed to grow past it. There's no such thing as a superior human being. We're not superior, they're not superior. Let's get down. And the one who gets down wins. Period. That's why when people get like, oh, I don't like this about the Jews, I've been thinking, oh my God, who gives a fuck about Jewish culture like that? Like, if they're performing, and if they exploit an opportunity, they should. And if it happens to step on your foot, guess what? The more you grow, you're going to step on people's feet. Sorry, y'all. That's called big business now. The more you scale, you're going to step on somebody's foot. So I just want to say, turn that nod, that sound down, that level of noise down, and stop talking about how the unfairness. Like, if I hear something that was unfair, I always think about, well, what could the other person have done? That's where my brain goes. Because in the end, when it happens to me, I need to be thinking about solutions, not about how to fall. Like I'm thinking about how to duck, not get slapped. I'm thinking about a counter move. But some of y'all just be like, if he comes to slap me, I'm going to slap me, then I'm going to tell everybody he slapped me. What? No defense move, huh? No counter move, no slap the shit out of him before he slap the fuck out of you. That way you never know not to fuck with you no more. Like, what do you have any kind of rules? Right? So just climbing and building is guaranteed to have friction. And you have to build a healthy relationship with friction. And I know psychologically deep down in your subconscious you don't like it, but you're going to have to like reframe it, restructure it to a point that you can overcome it. Now that's a lot. I just said that closure, and over time I'm going to teach why that was a lot I just said, because reframing with your brain, that's now neuroscience. But you're going to have to get to a point where stop, because the more you continue to frame and watch all these unfair stories on YouTube or Facebook, the less you're going to qualify yourself to build for your people. Got to remove the victim mindset. All right. With that being said, let's roll to the next slide. Let's roll. I love Danielle. That's a dope ass image. Uncertainty and randomness. So we talked about that in class. I'm not going to talk about this slide. I want to hear from you guys. When you hear about this, that life is really about uncertainty and randomness. I think his sister's name is Rose. Is her name Rose? Ray Rose. That's her name. Hey, I promise you, she need to put her name on something. Just on that name. Hey, usually I don't want people to feel narcissistic, but when you have a name like Ray Rose, I feel like I need to be wearing that somewhere. Something in my house should say Ray Rose. Anyway, because it sounds like that just sounds like a status-based name that you get to brag about. But anyway, when you hear the word uncertainty and randomness, I want to hear from you guys for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, how do you feel about that? That life is full of uncertainty and randomness. Jordan, you have the microphone? Yeah, go.
I think that no matter how much you try to align your life, it's only a certain amount that you could predict.
Anybody else? When you just think about that life is, go ahead.
Honestly, the first kind of reaction is to feel a little bit defensive and hopeless. But when I think about it, it's an opportunity to try different things and react differently to the uncertainty and randomness. So
that was tight. Anybody else? Go ahead, just where you go. Let the microphone go.
First time I'm kind of thinking about it is when we've talked about the difference between absolute and relative. This is one of those absolutes that we can definitely, it's absolutely going to be some uncertainties and randomness that we got prepared for.
Anybody else? And also online, you're welcome to participate. Shabisha's online to voice your opinion. Or voice your your emotions and your words.
The thing that comes to me when I think about like uncertainty and randomness is contingency initially, but also optionality, like the sister was talking about. It when you, for me now, being in a space that is unpredictable allows me to be whatever I need to be when I need to be it, you know, and so
Explain that for those who don't, because I think that's kind of cool. But explain that a little bit.
So like, you know, depending on whatever situation may come my way, I have to be able to almost like matrixly move and get into the rhythm of whomever it is that I'm trying to either, you know, whatever the interaction is, I try to move myself into the space of their rhythm to where I'm always looking at people now and situations from my vantage point. Like, how am I going to, like, nothing is like bad anymore. It's just like, how the hell am I going to maneuver to make it work for what I need, but still serve in within my purpose, you know? And so, initially uncertainty and randomness, you know, it used to be something that we always had. Coming from a project management background, you have like your risk management,
Mhm.
And then they have this thing called unknown unknowns. And so that's kind of like where that fell into. And all you would have is just this blank contingency. You didn't know what the hell you was going to use it for, but you just knew it was there. So now I kind of morphed that into making myself have enough bandwidth to handle the uncertainty. So how do I calm my mind? How do I make sure that when I'm going into spaces, I'm always able to maneuver and get into that rhythm. So that's what comes to mind.
That's tight.
Online said, hearing uncertainty makes me focus on being present because it's all going to change. It's not going to last forever.
Oh, that's tight.
So I should enjoy it, even the lows. So I'll add to that is like when I hear about uncertainty and randomness for somebody else, like if you said, Spisha, I got a problem with uncertainty and randomness, I could be like, oh my gosh, I have the best tools for you. Here's how we're going to do this. If you ask me how I feel, so my first reaction to that is, oh, bullshit. That is my first reaction. That's my first reaction. I actually fucking hate uncertainty and randomness. I have a very adversarial reaction to it. I don't enjoy it. It is like in the space of like the things about life that I just have to like. It's cod liver oil. I fucking hate uncertainty and randomness. That's my initial reaction. Then my next reaction is, what can I do? And so I'll go into trying to protect myself from it, right? So this is take you through my mental process. I know I can beat it. I'm going to put all of my contingencies in place so nothing happens to me. And I'm going to start with like, I'm going to have her, I got it. That's the next thing. And then I eventually surrender to it. But that process between like, I got it and surrender, it's like, I don't know, depending on the situation, maybe 2 years, maybe 6 months. It's not. Because inside of work, where I'm so used to having an ABC, work is very finite, it's fixed. I got this to do. I got this strategy to drive. It's this brand. It's a single thing. It has a beginning, middle, and an end. I can see it. I can see it all. I can be at 10,000 feet. I can see the plays. I can see what I want to do. I can even see the market I'm in. I can see my competitors. I know, like it's a dance, and I know the two-step, right? So some things are going to happen, but it's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to all of us, right? I can A, B, and C. We could sit. It's fine. On this side of it, it's my life. So now it's not just the market, it's the world. It's really big. And so to me, it feels a lot, I have a lot of fear around it. And so I am learning to not be so adversarial, but I'm 75% adversarial. 75%, I feel like uncertainty and randomness is like the boy that I don't like, but he will not fucking stop calling me. And I have done all the things to make you go away, but you still find me. That's how I feel.
He said uncertainty and randomness is a stalker.
And then Kev said it's like a video game. How can I get to the next level? I know there are going to be obstacles, but who am I to think I'm above that?
So, one is that if you really continue to let this sit with you, like almost give it hours and hours of internal processing, it's going to change your mind change the way you think about a lot of stuff. It's going to also make you love and appreciate things differently. It's going to also hurt you because, like, I went to a funeral today. My step grandmother, who's part of my family looks just like Fern, and the grandmother who's 93 passed away. And I was listening to everybody speak, and what you heard people trying to do is create a sense of certainty in that moment of uncertainty. Because when somebody dies, facing the fact of death is the ultimate uncertainty for a human being. But I would go even further than that to say that Randomness and uncertainty should help you understand that when you plan or when you move through society or every day, when you do certain things in your life, you're not doing things for guarantees, you're doing things to increase probability. So, for example, when I talked about at the beginning of class, hey, go out there and exercise. I'm not guaranteeing you that you're going to avoid COVID. There's no way in the world to guarantee that. What you're trying to do is increase the probability of not dying from COVID, right? You don't get a vaccine shot to guarantee that you're not going to die from COVID. You get a vaccine shot to increase the probability. When you plan in your business, you're not planning so the guarantee that your plan will come true, because it probably won't. It probably will. You're trying to increase the probability of the outcomes that work in your favor. So what you're always trying to do is move things. Oh wow, ain't seen that face in a long time. But you're trying to move everything in a direction to increase the probability of wins, which is important because we're gonna get into as we get into this next subject. A lot of things that happen to our life, in business, you've always heard people talk about business as a case of hard work, intelligence, and luck. But we kind of left luck as an assumed, untouchable, random, uncertain type of thing. But go back to uncertainty and randomness is tied to probability. And can you change the chance? Can you increase probability? Of course you can, right? So can you increase luck? Of course you can. But when you put luck, so the reason we often lose touch of things like the power, how to impact luck or influence luck, is because we're the same culture that believes in like things like I was born in September, so that means this. That's that's the opposite of that. Like if you say I believe in signs, then you don't believe in uncertainty and randomness. Because when the sun hits this happens. On this day, this happens, right? Or when you hear somebody goes to tell you that, hey, when you were born, I always knew this was going to happen for you. You couldn't possibly know that. It's not possible. It's not how it works. Now, is it nature, nurture arguments? Yes. But even in that, there's a degree of uncertainty, right? And so the reality is that your outcome, there is no guaranteed destination for nobody. Like, I don't care where you come from or whether you come from a poor family or a rich family, there's no guaranteed destination. Your whole life is influencing and shifting probability. And then in the end, through hindsight, you could talk about it like it was a guaranteed outcome, but there's no guaranteed outcomes. Even running a business, right? When you come out here and run a business, you can increase the chances of you being successful by you constantly shifting probabilities. But even with all that, there's a chance you can fail and still be right. You did an amazing job. But if you look at it, if you remove uncertainty and randomness, it's a chance you're going to internalize your failures as a flaw of self. And you're going to have a poor analysis. So when you do something right that goes wrong, you have a poor analysis of right and wrong. And quite often you would dump good ideas that just did not work because of random occurrences that you had no power over. So let's say you came out an ad about self-caressing the hour before the Super Bowl. Bad timing. It's bad timing. Folks are getting ready to watch gladiator sport, and you're talking about soft, and that doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Your timing is off. Right? But quite often, you'll go into this binary good, bad, right, wrong, flawed, not flawed type of self-approach because you think that if you do these things, then you guarantee these outcomes. But if everything is based upon uncertainty and randomness, that doesn't translate that way. Or let's just say I decided to talk about history. And I said, historically, this happened, which means this. So now you see something very similar pattern and you assume the same outcome is going to happen again. Nope. That was me looking at history and creating my own pattern assessment. But there's so many variations of that pattern and so many different outcomes that can happen based upon uncertainty and randomness. Like COVID was a perfect example. Some of us had the greatest plans ever before COVID hit. And this thing that no one saw coming landed. Then we had the nerves to get mad at scientists and doctors saying, hey, well, they were wrong. Yeah, that's what randomness and uncertainty does to you. They're going to be wrong. And and you're gonna have to use. You can't use certainty and guarantee type dialogue in the midst of something like COVID. It doesn't work. Oh, we'll be over COVID in another month or two. You don't know that. Oh, COVID's only going to mean this. You don't know that. So all that language is usually humans trying to comfort each other, but it's not language that actually, because human beings naturally hate uncertainty because uncertainty for us represents death. So we try to talk in language to each other to give certainty. Oh, you're going to be all right. I don't know if you're going to be all right or not. I don't even know how you got here. But I use that language because I'm trying to create comfort. And sometimes we use the same language to comfort ourselves. But in business, you're going to have to build a healthy relationship, because if you understand uncertainty and randomness, you're going to contingency, redundancy, modularity, these things that you build in your businesses to guarantee, they help you sustain your position, because you realize nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. But when you think things are guaranteed, you start running your business like you're on ice skates on this thin ass blade. And you're just one little nudge from just collapsing. And you may even be able to make some distance on that thin ass blade. But then when you collapse, you want to blame everything in the world when it has nothing to do with the world around you. You just was running your business like there was certainty, like you were guaranteed to be successful, like your story is about to be fulfilled, and you're almost there. You're about to deliver this final blow that's going to show the world who you really are. That's in your head. That's your denial of uncertainty and randomness.
You know, the cold part about the game too, in terms of dichotomies, is that uncertainty is a human need. It's a human need. We hate it, but it's a human need. If you've ever been bored in your life, if you've ever been bored, that's your body in need of some uncertainty. If you like presents that are wrapped, gifts, and you get excited by a present, that's your love and your need for uncertainty. Like, oh shit, I'm excited. Oh, what is it? What is it? If you've gone to any gender reveal parties and all that kind of shit, it's the need of uncertainty. We hate it, but we need it. If you ever broke up with somebody because they were boring, I hear the laughs and snorts out there. It's because internally, you're like, man, this guy does everything, goes to work, but he's boring. He's not spontaneous. He don't take me out. It's because your need for uncertainty is killing you. So even though we hate it, we do, but also we need it.
Let me say something. First of all, that's you couldn't give a better. Get out my head, bro. He could have gave a better presentation, because he's actually helping me where I'm going to wrap up. That was excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. Go to the next slide, because I'm going to wrap up, because I'm going to pull everything he just said into it. Shabisha?
There are 3 types of people in this world: takers, matchers, and givers. Takers are people who try to get as much as they can from others. Matchers try to trade fairly, and givers are the rare people who contribute without expecting anything in return.
So let me lean into this a little bit.
I'm low. Is this better? Or
Yeah, it was better. Yeah, you was
I was
low.
just too far away. Okay.
Yeah.
You wanted me to do it again?
Was online okay? It's
Okay.
okay. Read it one more time. Just for
There are 3 types of people in this world: takers, matchers, and givers. Takers are people who try to get as much as they can from others. Matchers try to trade fairly. And givers are the rare people who contribute without expecting anything in return.
So there's 3 types. I'm going to lean into this a little bit for a little bit more clarity. Plus, I'm going to give you guys a podcast, because I really just want you guys to get this, because this is getting into the world of probability and changing the invisible systems that impact our life. Where the way we look at the systems around us, we kind of think it as like, if I do this, this happens, which is kind of a way a matcher would think, right? But really, there's this invisible thing, energy that's always happening around us. Just for example, let's say if me and Court are playing basketball, or me and Court are doing something, we just walk down the street, we're working on something together. And Court turns to me and goes, that's not fair. There's no such thing as an energy called, there's no visible thing called, it's not fair. but it's this energy of a thought and a perception and agreement based upon this idea that can either sever our relationship or make us closer, right? So you being a giver, taker, or matcher is shaping your outcome and creating a group of experiences that seem like they're random spiritual luck. There's not. It's your behavior radiating out into a group of experiences that's affecting your day-to-day life. So if you start from the top, which is takers, takers sound really shitty because nobody wants to be a taker, which means I'm just trying to get mines. A taker is the kind of person that they always keep the score. They always focus on what can they get out of something. They don't believe in just giving to give. If they give, it's to get something back. Matter of fact, takers have a tendency to give up, but they won't give down. So they give to somebody that they think that's worthy of their giving, but they're shit on anybody else beneath them, right? Quiet as kept, if you come from poverty, scarcity, or being burned a lot, you're probably a taker. More of you guys don't realize that more of you guys are takers in disguise, and you don't even know you're a taker. We're not talking about, a taker is not, most people are not always a giver, taker, or matcher. Taker is, what is your default? Like, for example, if you're feeling uncomfortable, where do you just kind of sit in your default? Not your conscious thinking or who you think you are, but subconsciously, like if you just move through society, where do you sit? And you'll be surprised, there's a lot of takers amongst us. A lot of people in this room are takers and don't even know they're takers. And takers have a tendency, when they build relationships with people, it's always like, what can I get from this relationship? And y'all know, if you grew up in the hood, that's a foundational way of thinking. Because it's not because you're a bad person. You're responding to the environment you exist in, which you thought the environment was taken from you, you was taken from that environment. Now this is gonna make you feel kind of weird here. You know one of the ways you can tell somebody's a taker? You can never ask them. I can't ask you, cause you a taker? She'd be like, nah, what the fuck you talking about? Because no human being would ever admit that. Well, it depends how far you get to the streets. Because you get far to the streets, they're like, goddamn right. You keep saying in front of me, I'm going to take your shit, right? so it just depends on what degree you're talking. But the average taker, this is how you know a person's a taker. They talk about the world as takers. They say, yeah, out here people out here be trying to get you. You got to protect yourself. You never know who's coming for you. That means you're a taker. You say, what do you mean? Because you project, whoever you see. Okay, you ever heard that? Remember that concept where they say, I used to just, when I was younger, back in my days with the young ladies, I used to say, what's your favorite animal? She'd say, a bunny. And I said, why, girl? Because it's cute and it, it lets me be rubbed. I said, is that right? Okay. And the reason I would laugh at that, because all you was talking about yourself. That's all you ever do. What you project is who you are. What you project is who you are. The way you find out a taker in your room, just listen to the conversation. You can ask them like that. You can ask them like, hey, you feel people out there are takers or givers? And people are like, yeah, people out there, they just be trying to get you. They be trying to rob you. Okay, you're a taker. Second thing is that, remember, so you guys ever really say, all people are good? That reflects the space I'm in. When I start saying, well, some people are good, some people are that respects the space I'm in. It has nothing to do. You can't feel all people. So when you use phrases like all people are, you're just projecting who you are, right? So takers have a tendency to also burn a lot of people. They don't do it intentionally, but they're so busy taking and getting theirs, they don't realize how many people they burn. And from the people beneath them, they have a tendency to build this kind of dislike. Because why? You're always, like, in the end, you don't look out for people beneath you. So takers could be great fakers. Meaning, if you're performing really high in your career, a taker could be in your midst and seem like they're the greatest giver of all times. But they're only giving because they know that you're a valuable person to be judged by. But if they leave your presence, they stop giving. A taker could also join a group of givers, where there's givers and matchers, and they can become fakers and become givers as long as they're tied to that group. But if that group somehow divorces them, or that relationship divorces them, they would instantly turn towards that group as a taker and become a giver to the new group. Now y'all start to feel like, I know a lot of those, huh? Yeah, that's because it's part of our oppression. Then there's matchers. Now, matchers are the regulators of takers. Matchers punish takers. When a matcher senses a taker, a matcher goes out their way to destroy takers. Most human beings are matchers. Most people in corporate America are matchers. Matchers are people like, I give to you if you give to me, and I don't fuck with you, you don't fuck with me. They just move like that. They literally, they don't move and say, I just like to give. They go, let me see about Jasadi. Is it what kind of person he is? Oh, he a giver? Okay, I give to him. Okay, let me see about Shabisha. Oh, she a taker? I ain't fucking with her. But what matchers do, they're the ones who regulate the game. They punish all takers. They go out their way to destroy a taker. And if a matcher decides you're a taker, it's a chance they will never fuck with you again. Pay attention to, they will never fuck with you again. They will go out their way to shame you online. They will go out to expose you behind the scenes. They will they will gossip about you. They will do everything they can behind your back to destroy your value. Then there's the givers. Now, givers sound so good, but when you think about givers, turn off your moral thinking brain. This is not an issue of morality. This is where if you get into moral thing, if you think about a giver from a space of morality, you can become, you can have chronic altruism, which is you start to give so much to the point that you'll forsake yourself, right? Giving requires boundaries. Those who don't have boundaries and don't have nothing to live for and who are givers often fall to the bottom. The giver could put you at the top, but a giver can also put you at the bottom. And often what separates the giver from the bottom from the top is a person who lacks boundaries or a form of altruism, or number two, or they don't have something bigger to live for. Giving is a highly rewarding thing because as you give, like the laws of reciprocity kicks in, and people will, like they call this thing where, you know how you feel like, I forgot the word. There's a word for when you feel like there's people plotting against you. There's an opposite term for people who are plotting for you. Givers actually create people plotting for you, which means that it increases what? Luck. When you think it's luck, it's your rich, smart, intelligent giving actually having a return on you. Now, who you hang around can impact even a giver. If givers hang out with takers, givers will become matchers. Because why? Everybody around you is taking from you. That's why you start to sense it. And you start to protect yourself, right? But ultimately, all three of these different levels, by the way, the book Science of Stuck and the podcast we put out this weekend is covering the same issue. I'm going to get there one way or another. I'm going to get there somehow. So being a giver sounds great, but quite often we can become such a giver that we become a taker. You say, wait, what? You give so much to others, you take away from yourself. You give so much to others, you take away from yourself. Scott asked a question. I'm going to tap on. I'm going to play with it just somehow between this process. Scott asked a question. He said, Nana, how do you take the concept of trap, which is temptation, rebellion, I think maybe association or something like this, association and perfection, and make it part of make it your heuristics based on the podcast? And the biggest answer I can give anybody to make any of these principles and ideas you learn in this class work is you have to have time to process these principles. You have to have time. When you're running all the time, the shit never gets a chance to saturate your system to become part of you. Because there is no single model to make you work. There is no perfect copy and paste. Each person in this room has to design themselves according to their background, their experiences, their beliefs, their thoughts, their stories they tell themselves, right? There is no one size fit all. But in order for you to design yourself, and in order for you to make better decisions, and in order for you to respond to your impulses and your habits and your choices and your systems and your mindsets, you have to have time to reflect, process, and also practice the pause game. Can you pause in the middle of your day and reflect on your shit? Can you reflect on your shit? Or are you moving so fast that at the end of the day, that knowledge becomes the weapon that you use against yourself to say you are so bad, or you made a mistake, or you're wrong, or you fucked up again? Or do you pause and go, oh, I missed that one, let me do it again? Or do you pause and say, I know what I feel right now, and I know what I want to do, but I'm going to make this decision that's counter to what I want to feel, and I know the sensation will go away because I know what the sensation comes from. Right? Are you pausing enough to walk through your day and think about the next move you're about to make and project yourself forward and think about if this happened, that happened, and that happened, and how these other two will cause this effect, and how what you need to do to find yourself in this space? Or are you moving so much and so fast you're really a victim of your subconscious? In marketing, business, please stop marketing to people's conscious brain. I don't give a shit what your conscious brain thinks. I don't give a shit what comes out your mouth. I care about what your subconscious is about to tell you what to do. When a marketing person talks to you, they don't say, you want some of this healthy, clean, non-sugar water? You know why they're not going to say that? Because there's no story in your brain that makes you go, ooh, I remember those days. That's how I know deep down inside your brain that the stories that you hold deep in your brain will dictate the outcome of your decisions, no matter what your rational brain says. So if I say to you, hey, you want this summery, fresh tasting, lemony flavor that will excite your taste buds, you're like, ooh, the same fucking water. But what happens, what I do is I pinged your historical memories of good days, and I don't give a shit what you consciously thinking about that day or what's in front of your schedule. If I can ping that emotion in my marketing language, I can get you to continuously buy my products. But quite often in this social justice trash ass communication that we are hearing, everybody wants to talk about what this person said. Well, she said, so I want to speak to what she said. I want to speak to. No, pay attention to the human being's subconscious behavior. The reason this is a behavior science class is because when you're moving products in the world, human beings are responding to our subconscious, not our conscious. Remember a couple of weeks ago I said, be careful what stories you tell yourself? Because those stories are like, I'm from here, I did this is where I came from, this is what my mama was, this is all those labels you put on yourself. You don't realize those labels are controlling your behavior more than your rational brain's controlling your behavior. Next slide. Oh, go ahead.
Ray has a question.
Oh, Ray Rose?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, at some point I need to meet this person because that name is just too fucking tight. Go ahead.
So the question is, what about the givers that have been burnt so many times? So not so much a giver who has been burnt out. So
Externally
a
burnt?
giver who has been burnt so many times, which creates a new way of looking at people.
That wasn't a giver. Whoever that person was a matcher. Because if you, there's two, okay, you could have been a giver without boundaries, and then that's why you get burned, right? Because boundaries is how you protect yourself from not being burned. So my wife suffers from chronic altruism. She will give to you to her own destruction, right? None of it will cut off you in a minute and go cycling. None of it will cut off in a minute and go to sleep. None of it will cut off you in a minute and go get him something to eat. None of it will cut you off in a minute and go work on my shit. Because here's the thing with altruism. I can give to you so much that eventually the quality of my giving goes down because I ain't got much to give no more. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I ran out of resources. I got diabetes. Because, by the way, diabetes is connected to altruism, right? When you give so much, you start taking care of yourself, right? So at the end of the day, you can also be a person that's giving without boundaries, or be suffering from altruism, which is kind of an extreme form of giving, and that can cause something that causes you to be burned. But usually when you give to the point that you don't give where they can burn you. Like, okay, so when I teach this class, right, there's somebody that taught this class that said this class was, I don't know, maybe bipolar, sitting there hating me. There's somebody that said this class didn't do shit with it besides use the language to damage their relationship and tell the person next to them they ain't shit because this is what they say in class, right? Whatever, I promise you, I've heard these stories, right? That has no impact on me teaching this class. Zero. There's somebody in this class is going to perform, and somebody's class ain't going to do shit, right? Ain't got nothing to do with that, right? Because when I give, I'm giving in a controlled space. Also, I don't give when you tell me to give. So that's where boundaries come in. I control which hours and what days and what time and how much resources I want to give. After I hit that threshold, hey, baby, you missing me. You miss me. I even said when you first come to this class, hey, don't call me on these days because it's a waste of your time because I got to work on this stuff for myself. Because as I build a quality life, I have something better to give. But if I give to a point where I allow you to dictate my giving, then maybe I'm not giving because I'm giving for acceptance. That's a whole different conversation. So altruism is dangerous as fuck because you give to a point that you become valueless even though you think you're valuable. And this gets into also why you can't control your life and you feel like you can't control your habits because you're always trying to show to other people over yourself. So now self disappears. So if you don't learn how to give, that's why you say you can't use morality to give through morality, because if you give through morality, then you're going to go into altruism because you're like, oh, it feels because I'm serving God. I'm serving God. I'm going to get into a story in a minute about Adam and Eve. It's going to mess you up. But I'm serving God. Why am I talking religion again? You got to cut that out, bro. That's the court effect. Anyway, point is this. I need somebody to stop. So anyway, so that's the issue with giving has to be. It's a strategical thing. It's not an emotional thing. Okay, go ahead, Tish.
Is it possible to be a giver, a taker, and a matcher all at the same time?
You all of us are to a certain degree, but what is your default?
Well, I ask that because in business, I feel that you have to be able to maintain all three identities based on what situation you're in. So if I'm in a situation and I have to give something to a client, but then I have to match something with a colleague or a coworker, but then I feel like I have to be in a taker mindset if I'm trying to close a deal. How does that work?
That's all wrong. Those are all wrong. I'm always a giver. Look, if you can't see value in what you're bringing to the client, even you're negotiating, right? How you show up to that client, it's difference between. I was talking to court about this company called Actively Black. I just bought a couple of hoodies from them, and they, even though I'm buying their products, they talk to me. Their emails and their thank yous and their communication feel like they're giving me something in return. So it's like can you learn how to do business where if I'm negotiating with you and I'm just trying to grab you, right, and try and get you, and I know I can't show up and perform, but if I know ultimately I'm going to deliver a hell of a product to you, and I'm thinking about my prices in a way that's sustainable, good for the market, good for the value. Like when you think about the health of a business, you move towards a giver mindset, right? When you're a taker, okay, so let me give you an example. Apple feels like a giving company. Even though you spend money, you ever have your broken computer and take it to Apple's shop and get it fixed? They go out their way to take care of you. They treat you like, oh my God, right? There's certain companies like in the photography world, if something broke down and you call them, hey, it's broken down, they just send you a new product. Hey, listen, I don't want you to have no problems, right? A taker will be like, so what's wrong? Well, what did you do? How do we know that? Can you prove it to me? Wait, what? So there's a way to be a good giver business, and where in a matcher, even the idea of matching, all the takers and matchers all operating in a space of fear. Both of those operating from a space of fear, because you're trying to control. If you go back to two slides real quick. Go back 2 slides. No, go back. Well, yeah, right there. When you're a taker and matcher, you don't believe in that. Because you're trying to control certainty. You're trying to remove randomness. Because even when you give to somebody, you can't control the outcome of their return. You're trying to make reciprocity a guarantee. No, I'm giving because it has something to do with me, how I show up to the world. Right? Do you understand that when I'm giving love all the time and I'm showing up to the world all the time, what it does for me as a person? That's just amazing. It's crazy.
A quick question for you. So you would say, for instance, if I purchase something and you say, I can't give you your money back, but I'll give you a credit. Would you say that that's a matcher? I'm just trying to now apply
No.
this to stuff.
It's a thought of how can you show up to the person and make them feel good about doing business with you, and if you might not have the money to give them back, right?
Okay.
Right, but even in that, you understand that's how you're going to frame it. Like, hey, listen, because we're a small business, we're already on to the next one, but I want you to be happy. What can I do to make you happy? As opposed to a matcher is trying to think of what is fair and stop right there. A taker is, how do I protect myself? I feel like you're threatening me right now. Can I get on going with this? But before you can get to the business, you got to work on yourself, because it's never going to be real. If I gave you all the principles of how to be a good giving business and still make a great profit, you could never uphold those principles because you move as a taker personally. You're going to have to, and don't get me wrong, you could be matcher giver. You just don't want to be taker. Because taker is cutting off what Christians would call your blessings and what behavior science would call the invisible system of reciprocity.
Wrong in thinking that being a matcher, because they are so concerned with righting wrongs.
Corporate America, yeah, well, yes, very heavy hand on justice, fairness, and also very heavy hand. Corporate America teaches matchers. If you work in corporate America, it's all about matching. They don't teach on giving in corporate America. You learn matching and taking. You don't learn giving in corporate America. There may be some givers in corporate, but corporate America encourages matching. I'll watch your back, you watch mine. Because if you sit in the office, you always feel like somebody is not really watching your back, and you always making, so you're being you're turning to a matcher because of the hostility of the environment. Next slide. Let's read the slide. This is the right one.
Sorry, I'm one slide too far.
Oh, we went too far? Okay,
no, that was me. You guys are good.
Okay.
3 roles are not fixed.
These roles, not 3 roles.
These roles. These roles, not
rolls
fixed.
are not fixed. I'm hungry.
3 roles are not fixed.
These roles, girl. These roles. These roles.
Jesus. These roles. What is wrong with me? I'm seeing 3, I promise. Okay. These roles are not fixed. For instance, we might be overly cautious at work.
Like I said.
Opt to play the role of a matcher.
Mm-hmm.
Or focus on looking out for our own best interests by playing the role of a taker.
Mm-hmm.
When we are at home, we might be generous, giving to others with an open heart and no predetermined outcomes in mind.
So, but in that case there, can you be all 3? Yes, but are the takers still a damaging role? Yes, it is. So in business, when you say in business you are, that's not how you are. You can be that way, but that's not how you are, right? There is, and not saying that there can't be. Okay, if I'm at war, you might become a taker. I'm not about to be a giver of war, but yeah, well, actually, would be a giver of war. Because when you're fighting amongst your platoon, you're giving within that. If I'm against the front of the enemy, I'm taking your life. I'm not about to give you a life. You're like, you got to go, baby, right? But I'm working with my team to be a giver on how we survive as a team. If you ever see a platoon, they're all moving like givers. They have to watch each other. They have to communicate. They have to be on top of this stuff, right? They can't be like, well, I got mine. I know how to save myself. Good luck on your own ass. You all going to die, right? So at some point, you're going to have to be giving is not, like I say, move the moral cloud that we've been taught about giving off the word giving and look at giving as a tool for networking. Next slide.
Top 3 benefits of networking, aka relationships: private information, diverse skills, and power.
So this is the number 1 3 reasons you're going to, if so, let's get into networking because it's all going to tie together. You're like, what? He just went from giving to networking? Is this cat high? No sage in my house. But that was a shot at court. But the point is this. But the thing is that the 3 benefits of networking, you get private information. I think the private information, I don't think you guys understand. Have you ever been running your business and you run across how do you charge for this or how do you do this or how do you do that? There's a lot of private information in business that is not in podcasts, that are not on books, right? But when you're networking, people will call you, go, oh, this is how you solve that problem. Oh, use this software, or call this, or use this technique, or use this, use this approach. Or when you want to get your new business office, call this person up and they give you this special contract that allows you to have this kind of money to get this kind of thing that nobody from the streets would ever have, right? The other one is diverse skills. So when you're networking, let me help you out with this, is not only do you pick up more skills from the people you meet and they introduce you to new ideas and new things to learn on the weekend, but you gain access to people who have greater talent. So, for example, you'll find different contractors and vendors that will provide you a service that you've been busting your ass all day and all night, and now you call this person and you may pay them $300, and you're like, you gonna do what for $300? Oh, sure, I do this. I've been paying you my whole life, right? Because time, attention, money. Time is the most valuable thing you have. But when you're not networking, a lot of times you're overcompensating and lack of information and the skills because you don't have relationships because you're poor in networking. And last, power. Great networking, when you're strong and you have a strong network, they will keep you in power. They will look, marketing is valuable, but the way we think about it is overrated. Now, if we knew about real marketing and real branding and real advertisement, it has a lot of power. The way it's overrated is we think that we can decide tomorrow I'm gonna go buy some apples and sell them, and I'm gonna run hella flyers, and all of a sudden everybody's gonna buy my apples. It's overrated. Nobody fucking knows you, man. You gotta establish trust. 2, remember the pyramid of beliefs? Remember that thin line of tension? They won't even pay attention to you. They don't have enough bandwidth to see you. This is why when you go on social media to sell stuff, and I'm thinking, do you have a relationship with people on social media? Have you grabbed their attention that they're looking forward to seeing you come on social media? If you haven't grabbed their attention and they're not looking forward to you, I don't give a fuck how pretty your flyer is, they won't see you on social media. The social media kings and queens, they build relationships with people on social media. Then when they come online, people are like, yo, here they come. Now when they make an announcement, they have a little bit more value. But even with that, it's called the funnel effect. You may have 100,000 people that are friends with you, and only 10 people buy your products. Funnel effects. So the reality is that winning trust, attention, but the giving, taking, and matching is actually the secret ingredient. Next slide. So a lot of us, when we think about networking, we have kind of a negative type of outlook because it's always been treated like Machiavellian, like a taker's world, right? You go out there, people are like, hey, what's up, Court? How you doing? And you feel like the only reason this person's talking to me because they want something, right? So you instantly, everybody's on guard. No, everybody's in these. That's why I hate these networking events because it feels so Machiavelli-ish. Like everybody's like, yeah. So, I'm running. This is what I'm doing. This is what I got going on. And you should just here's one of my business cards. Here's my flyer. Yeah, look at my website. Look what I'm doing over here. And everybody's thinking, and everybody's guarded. And it ended up being this low business environment because everybody's fucking guarded. However, I have been at events that wasn't marketing events, but there was somebody that was well trusted and well loved in that environment that said, hey, Nana, meet this person. This person meets Nana, and that business actually happened. But there was something that person had. right? But many of us can't wait to go to these networking opportunities to only go home and realize it was a waste of. And some of y'all lie to yourself. Oh, that was such a nice event, and man, Fern was there, and the wine was great, and man, it was some beautiful people. It was just nice to see all these wonderful looking black people. They were all come out. They were all dressed in white. It was dancing and stepping in the name of love. It was just, oh my God, it's just so nice to see that. You know, it's rough out here in Oakland. And you go home next week, you still broke as fuck. Because you thought this transactional engagement is going to work, but the problem is that you have no trust. Next slide.
The motives with which we approach networking shape the strength and reach of those networks, as well as the way that energy flows through them.
So, how you go to an event shapes the impact of what you receive from people when you network. So you're always networking. Business is all about relationships. But if you go into relationships as a taker trying to get yours, that's what you don't get from everybody. You're not gonna get that. Matter of fact, okay, in Oakland, we have such a poor networking flow of doing things that you have people in Oakland right now that will smile in your face. They hella cool with you. But if they ever call you for business, according to tell you this, they looking for discounts. Hookup. Free. Because they takers too. But you call that taker into existence because you went into the market as a taker. And it's this big ass taker market in Oakland from the this is a chamber. Yeah, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. To all the most popular, like if you go to all the most popular events, they're always there. Try to do business with one of them, and all they want is hookup. And if you give me hookup, I'm going to expose you to somebody else, right? And the first time I discovered this was trash is when I went to New York. Because New York, when you go out there, Cass was like, yo, I pay you for what you've worth. So you say, hey, I'll do a photo shoot. It's going to cost $2,500. Cool, right? And it was just like, oh, cool. As long as you perform, show up on time, hit your mark, we good. And I stick with you as long as you're good like that, right? But I came back to Oakland and it was barter. But the problem with bartering is that then the amount of money that's flowing around, it's like this soft ass hurricane that feels like you wonder why nothing's moving. Ain't nothing behind that goddamn hurricane. Because guess what? Everybody within the system is a taker. So what you put into your networking is what you get out of your networking. Next slide.
While givers and takers may have equally large networks.
So a taker can have a large network. The people in Oakland that I was talking about earlier, they have huge fucking networks, right? But the difference is, go ahead.
Givers are able to produce far more lasting value through their networks and in ways that might not seem obvious.
So takers will have large network because, okay, I'm gonna call a name. And if he listens to me, fuck it. If somebody knows him, fuck it. But I'm gonna do it on purpose because if you know him, he is such a perfect taker networker. But he has a huge network. You might know Charleston Pierce. Charleston Pierce is his brother that's been in Oakland who works with models. Charleston Pierce is such a, if you blow up, it's like the E40 effect. When you blow up, he'll give you a call. And he's gonna treat you so nice. He'll make you feel so good. He'll praise you, go out his way to do a favor for you, right? Hook you up with some shit, right? But Charleston Pierce's network is always turning over. Because as people realize when they drop down a little bit and Charleston doesn't see you no more, you're off his radar because you're no longer up here, guess what? Charleston Pierce's network is based upon status. So it's kind of a different kind of network where everybody in that network is trying to get theirs. Folks are not trying to raise the tides. They're just trying to sit above everybody else. So imagine like a pile of human being bodies and somebody's just trying to climb to the top. And the closer you get to the top, Charleston sees you. But if you fall to the bottom, I don't remember. I will see at a party, don't even remember you no more. Right? So takers can build what's that white chick name? The part of the hotel with the puppy. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton, that's a taker energy. Where if you ride with Paris Hilton and you in here, oh, I see you. Oh, yeah, I point. Y'all seen it, the LA club type of energy, right? But as soon as you fall, you go to that same club, you be like, oh, I met you before? You know the fuck I am. Cut it out. Right? So takers can grow from popularity. However, the difference is that when givers grow, their group doesn't need to speak to them every day, but stay in love with them for just tonight. So we all saw the Black Godfather. He was a giver. He was on Netflix. There was a show called Black Godfather. Y'all stop being messy. Y'all looking at Charles Spear like, yeah. Okay, y'all messy as hell, boy. I tell you. Well, I love my black folks. But the point is this, y'all look at this name like, this is the motherfucker right here. So there you go, y'all cold-blooded. But I'm just saying because, but if y'all know him, he's so obvious it's bad. It's like he's one of the worst cases I've ever seen. I'm like, damn, dude, you're really bad. He'll call you like, yo, what's up, family? How you been? Hey, man, happy birthday, man. Good to hear from you, man. Can't wait to see you again. Charles, you ain't talked to me ever. Fuck you talking about? But he will just show up at the right time when when all the lights shine on you, you one of his loved ones. If the light ain't on you, hey, man. Shabishi, oh, you know you my real loved one. Like, you can't have that many loved ones, bro. It's not possible, right? The Black Godfather was a giver. A person who moves to always make sure that other people are doing well just because he likes to see other people do well. That's it. He ain't asked for nothing back in return. He's not saying, yo, if I give to you, don't forget me. That's what takers would do. I remember that time I gave to you, just our matcher might say that, like, yo, I helped you, gotta help me. What's up with that? Right? But a giver is a person who's like, yo, Shabisha, if I give and you grow, just help somebody else out for me. That's what givers do. Next slide.
Takers often disguise themselves as givers.
So we talked about that earlier, that a lot of times takers feel like givers because when you're on top, they give the shit out of you. And it's hard to know they like that because if they're in your circle, they may you're like, damn, this person's really a giver in this circle. They may even go over, and you'll notice another sign that they're a taker, their giving is off balance. They go from extreme little to extreme too much. And you watch them going, what's fucking wrong with your giving? Your giving is weird. Right? Or you catch them one day, like if you're hanging out with them, they're going to show their taker behavior sooner or later because they'll say something like, yeah, I would never get that shit. I don't care about that. Like, you got to be careful because people out there be trying to rob you. But then get back to the group like, no, I love everybody. I give to you. I show up for y'all. And here's the thing. They're not good or bad. They might be traumatized. That's the difference. See, your moral brain's on. Your moral be like, oh, right, wrong. No. If you come from poverty and you got robbed hella times coming up, and you seen people get abused all the time, and you seen people take from them, and you seen people like, the crab effect, everybody's fighting to get to the top, it made you a taker. But it has nothing to do with your morality. It's a shift you're going to have to make to actually grow your networking, but do not sit in this room and put your morality on trial. Your morality is not on trial. You are still a good person. You are just reflecting your past or the stories you tell yourself. Next slide.
If you've ever put your guard up when meeting a new person, probably because you thought you picked up on the scent of self-serving motives.
So a lot of us can sense takers without even having the words for it. A lot of times when you meet somebody, you instantly like, oh, I don't know if I like them, because you're sensing something that feels like a taker. Human beings do not like takers. So some of y'all, this is so fucked up. Some of y'all don't get invited to all the parties. Some of y'all don't get called to the golf course and hang out with the power brokers. Some of y'all will not be in the circles of powerful people. Some of y'all are the last to the table of knowledge, information, access to resources. You know why? Because you're moving like a taker. And you think the people don't like you, or you think that all these bitches be tripping. They're bougie. I'm not bougie like them. I'm from Oakland. They from San Francisco. You come with some soft ass weak ass excuse, not realizing, no, you have the scent of a taker, and those givers who are millionaires don't fuck with you. And you think they snobbing you because you poor, broke, or your outfit sucks, or you're not wearing the TOLT type of purse or some shit like that. Yeah, that's some shit they told me earlier. Or them little red ass clown Mickey Mouse boots. Because some reason you don't feel like you fly enough, right? But regardless of whatever the fuck is happening, it has nothing to do with the way you dress, your hairstyle, or the way you speak your language and your English. It's because you move like a taker, and innately they sense that and they back up off you and they don't invite you to parties. So you'll hear about a group of friends who travel all the time. For example, me, Court, Mashama, Pastor Chris, Terrence, sometimes Dave Max. I don't know if I missed somebody, but we all take off on a plane, right? And it's a giver fest. I'm not, am I lying? It's a give. We fighting to give to each other. Like it's almost like it's funny now because we come up with new credit card ways to pay for everybody's dinner. You know, everybody come up with these new tricks where like some people call ahead, give them the credit card number, so we get there and somebody try to pass them. Well, I got your number, sir. He's already paid for everything, right? But because we're all givers, the reason we don't invite a lot of people, we can sense takers. We don't say it, but we sense you're a taker. We don't want that energy around us. We don't want to be able to come and then you to be the first person to grab the bill and start auditing. Okay, so I got the salad and I got chicken. Wait a minute, who got the extra croutons? Because I don't remember me getting the extra croutons. Like, what? If you don't get your ass off this, stop coming to dinner with us. Go by yourself and meet with us later on, right? Or somebody who's trying to audit the giving and taking everything around them and watching, like, you got to be careful. Because like, in business, you're going to take losses all the time. And me and Court would say, chalk it to the game. A taker can't do that. A matcher, we struggle with that because a matcher is too much onto fairness, right? And so we sense a matcher or a taker in our circle, it has nothing to do. We still love you. We just don't want to deal with that energy. It's too much. So a lot of the wealth circles you should be in right now, you're being excluded. You're unaware you're being excluded, and they're unaware that they're excluding you, but they just don't like you like that. And so some of y'all struggle to have a lot of friends. You're struggling to have friends because you're a taker. Not because something you said or didn't do or the way your outfit was worn. You show up in a way as a taker or a matcher that makes people go, I just don't want to do it. You guys ever had a birthday party or something like this? And big ass mess in the kitchen, everybody go home? Givers are like, no, not again. When you have giver friends, everybody's like, yo, what can I do to help out? Takers be like, oh, that was good. Can I get some take with me? Right? Takers don't even think about nothing else besides how can I get mine so I get up out of here. I had a friend who was a pure taker. That motherfucker would show up at your party. Your party starts at 7. He's there at 7 o'clock with Tupperware stacked like this, like, yeah, so whatever's left over. All right, brought my Tupperware. He never not showed up with his Tupperware. That's a motherfucking taker. And this highly educated brother is still working for city government. Because when you get out, every time he got out into the real world, it fell flat on his face because folks didn't fuck with him like that. Because every time I saw you try and get yours. You see where I'm going with this? Next one. So this is going to be course part. I'm going to stop here, but real quick. I don't want to leave you hanging cliff because I'm going to give you some more stuff. Then I'll do a follow-up next week. So in your life, you have 3 groups. 3 groups. Jordan, this is really for you too. 3 groups. You have your close tie, you have your loose tie, and you have your distant tie. Close ties, people, you call on the phone all the time. What's up with you? Where you at? I ain't seen you in 2 days. What's going on? Fix yourself. Distant ties, you see them on the streets. Yo, we got to get together. They may get invited to some parties. But you don't see them that much. You see them when you see them. And then loose ties. Those loose ties. Distant tie are people that when you run across them, it feels so good, but you might not never see them again until you run across them again. They follow you on Facebook or they follow you on Instagram, or hopefully your old asses will not be followed on TikTok, but if that's what it is what it is. You probably still got the moves. But the point is this. If I catch y'all on TikTok, so help me God, I'm going to have jokes. Boy, what is this? And so Shorty, not you though, Shorty. I'm leave you alone. I want you, maybe you got that. I don't know, Shorty. It's just part of marketing. Point is this. So, but here's the thing. When you a taker, your close ties may lie to you. Your loose ties and your distant ties don't fuck with you. When you're a matcher, your close ties and loose ties and distant ties might be cool with you, but you're neutral to them. But when you're a giver, your close ties, your loose ties, your distant ties are always working behind the scenes to help you achieve success. Be very clear what I said. Your close ties, your loose ties, and your distant ties are always working behind the scenes, promoting and pushing your business, promoting and pushing your ideas, promoting and pushing whatever you put your hands on. So it makes you feel like every time I touch something, I have the Midas touch. It's because when you move through society as a giver, there are people that you do not see every day working on deals just for you because they want to give back to you. Because the law of reciprocity says, when I see this person, they embody something I think that is so fucking amazing. I want to give back to them. The reason you want to become the true way of networking is becoming a strategic, smart giver, but not flowing into the space of altruism where you start portraying yourself. That you're always in a position that you're known to be somebody that shows up for other people. So when I started, when my photography team, they were all kind of like skipping on the bottom. They do these little surges and they just skip on the bottom. So I say, guys, teach a photography class called Frame. And when I first said it to them, they were matchers. Some was like, oh, no. And they were arguing amongst each other all day long. Some of them were takers. Well, what I'm going to get from this? Well, how I won't be recognized for that, right? But everybody was arguing. And I'm looking at them like, y'all some goddamn fools. Y'all think people fucking with y'all because y'all picture's pretty? Y'all think y'all the only motherfucker got a pretty picture in this world? Have you lost your fucking mind? When you start teaching the community, that's a gift to the community. So when a supervisor walks across the desk and say, who should we give a contract to? Guess whose name's gonna come up first? The person that leaves them with the most positive sensation in their heart. Because guess what? You're not talking to their conscious brain. You're in their subconscious brain. See, giver, you're getting past the conscious, rational thinking. I can rationally go, I hate your fucking shirt. But if I subconsciously love you, I will fuck with you on all accords, even if I'm sitting across from you and I keep my eyes closed because your shirt is so fucking ugly. You get what I'm going? Like you guys are missing the point. Giving is the most powerful networking tool. Not going to a fucking event, passing on a fucking business card, not sitting on the corner with a flyer hanging on your chest. It's walking to society. How can I help you? But when you say, how can I help you? The first person you should always say first to is, how can I also help myself to help you? Where too many of us go wrong is we help others and we start getting to this moral space and now we walk around like giving fools. Podcasts. I'm going to talk about it a little more in depth because I'm going to turn it over to Court. This is my closing point. She talked about, I'm going to just touch it a little bit because I really want to teach this trap theory. It's so fucking cold. And if I teach a trap theory, I'm going to start tapping into it. Shabisha's class coming up, which I want you to make an announcement when we switch. The science of stuck and trap are so tied together. It's crazy because it's all based upon these neuroscience findings that are very, very recent. And neuroscience, remember, is always at least 10 plus years in front of psychology. But she said temptation stands for T. One of the reasons we can control our habits because we can become tempted. But temptation is nothing but a story we tell ourselves that becomes deeply ingrained in our subconscious. So, for example, and she talked about this in the book. Let's say I sat on the porch with my mother when I was 3 and we had a popsicle and it was one of the greatest days of my life. Now I'm older and I need to cut down my sugar. But when I walk by that popsicle hanging up there, my brain associates that with that moment I sat with my mother eating a popsicle, and that represents pleasure. So the reason I get this pull from me is because I'm having a moment of association of that represents pleasure to me. Then I call you and say, hey, let's go to the gym. And the science of stuck, she says, the reason you often avoid certain things is because of fear, right? So I said, let's go to the gym. Your brain associates gym with pain, hurt, soreness, almost ran out of oxygen, almost died, couldn't walk the next day. This dude screaming at me. Everybody there had these sexy ass bodies, and I was wearing an oversized sweatsuit. The one girl was halfway naked, and nobody saw me that day. Right? The buff dude was lifting 300 pounds, and I'm sitting next to him, and I'm making the bar look like it's 300 pounds. All that becomes association. So when I say, hey, let's go to the gym, you don't articulate rationally those things I just said. It goes, that represents pain. Your brain goes, pain? Fuck. Embarrassment? Self-devaluing. And guess what? This thing called so in neuroscience it's called emotional. I'm making it real simple. This is such a poor, but it's easy for you to. I try to transfer ownership. It's called emotional brain, rational brain, gatekeeper. Rational brain says, let's go to gym. Gatekeeper says, I'm not telling muscles that shit. You know why I'm not telling muscles that shit? Because that shit's associated with pain, so fuck you, good luck. And then your emotions be like, I know I just need to go. I just feel so bad about going. And gatekeeper's like, yeah, y'all work it out, but I'm not telling the muscles. So I'm gonna let you sit on this couch. And you go, oh, I'm a procrastinator. No, you're not a procrastinator. You have a negative association with fear with the gym. And the reason you can't put the cookie down, you have a positive association with the cookie. R, rebellion. I'm gonna stop at R. I'm gonna give it up to the court. The Adam and Eve story, I used to teach this before court joined Hope. And I stopped teaching it. The famous Adam and Eve story. Most of y'all wasn't around. Maybe if by the way, Tennille and Shakina, send your prayers out to them. They both have COVID. But Shakina would remember this, the Adam and Eve story. What did Eve do wrong? She what? A Jew going, look, the Jews go by. It's like, I can tell you. what, I love this brother. Don't Jew me. But anyway, so what was saying? But what did Eve do wrong? She ate the apple. So one of the things when I was I'm gonna share something with you. I used to be deep in church. Don't think you're gonna save me, so cut it out. I used to be deep in the church. And I ain't never went nowhere. I just don't mess with religion, but I believe in God. And in my belief in God, I said to myself, history was never written to be factual. It doesn't matter if the Bible's factual. It's the lessons of the Bible. So why are you going to tell me something if there's no lesson in it? Let's make it that simple. Like how y'all make it, y'all making God he just pours, he's just saying shit for no reason. To be or not to be is the question. Wait, what? I don't understand. So that story is very, very powerful because it told you something about the human nature. The humans love to rebel against what word? Should. One of the greatest flaws of teaching that I've been trying to shift this class away from, and I used to tell churches, this is where you go wrong. Ministers would never listen to me because they're like, you're not in a church. Okay, fuck it then. I'm not in a church. Ride with you where you want to ride. I'm going to warn you now. Stop making morality about what people should do. Because if you tell a human being too many shoulds, guess what the human being brain does? It naturally rebels. You know why it naturally rebels? Because that's where you get your self-determination from. Self-determination is a form of rebellion. If you didn't have rebellions built into your nature, that means if your mother was here, you'll be here, and your children be here, nobody would ever change it. If you were always rich, you'll always be rich. You always poor, you'll always be poor. But the reason you rebel going, I don't want to be like my parents, that is natural self-determination. That's why young people are full of rebellions. That's what you see in East Oakland right now. It's a group of black kids who told you, you know what? You've been telling me all these days, all these fucking rules. Fuck your rules. I'm breaking them because that gives me a sense of human. So when you teach, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't fornicate, you shouldn't pimp, you should do drugs. You're actually encouraging those things. So now how do you teach morality then? You teach people the benefits of those decisions. When you can turn the Bible into a benefit book, not a shaming and punishment book, it goes a long way. When you learn in this class from how do I benefit from these tools, those tools become actual, you can use them. But if you use these tools to beat yourself up, spank yourself, and tell you what you shouldn't be doing, because should is what? A kind of distortion, you position yourself to eventually rebel. So the Adam and Eve story was a powerful ass story. Is that no matter who brings the law of what you should not do, in your nature is to rebel. Can y'all see how dope that podcast really, really was? And in a sense, when she was talking in the book about being kind to yourself and how you talk to yourself in the book of Science is Stuck, because if you shame yourself and tell yourself you ain't shit, your subconscious will take over and make the next decision for you. It is even proven when you feel like something you're doing is devaluing yourself, you'll walk away from it. That's why even when you talk about solutions for being in a certain state of mind, the reason solutions can't be this science and complexity, because it requires too much thought for you to do it. And guess what you do? You go back to your comfort zone. In business, just remember, this goes back to some shit Court said earlier. We are always talking to the subconscious, not the conscious. This conscious thing, like, well, I asked them what they wanted, and this is what they said, so this is what I sold them. I'm like, you just walked away from the goddamn solution. You got to watch your audience. You got to look for patterns. You got to be so observant when you're watching people that you hear what they're saying, but you watch what they're doing. And if you pay attention to what they're doing, they're telling you what their historical stories that's in their mind, what's driving their actions, and then how to position your business to be in the right place to capitalize on those opportunities. Make your now. Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm gonna start switching record. Go ahead.
This Chelsea said something online. She said, talking about boundaries and giving. She said, my issue is setting boundaries. I know you went over this, but she said, my issue is setting boundaries. I'm a natural giver. My skill sets, money, food, I've given everything, but have been taken advantage of.
So when you call yourself a natural giver, you're not a giver. Giving is not what you call yourself, it's what other people will see you as. When you're a natural giver, so she may be dealing with altruism. So I think a lot of, especially, okay, man, women get shamed more than men do for not giving. It's almost like fucked up the way the society sets it up, right? And women want to be good people, right? I mean, it starts with your kids. You taught it from, you're going to be a good mother, you better give, right? And you even see it in corporate America, they do it like, I didn't get no sleep last night, which means I'm giving up my sleep for the value of this company. That is not the type of giving I'm talking about. That's actually flawed giving. But when she made that comment, it's still sitting in that moral thinking space. She has to shift from the moral space to the strategic. Like, she needs to learn how to give. Not giving is not, you just don't give. There's no such thing as I just gave, right? And that kind of giving you give, that's the people that go from the top to the bottom. I become a giver, but in my giving, I have structures and try to catch me on a certain day and ask me for something. I won't tell you no, but you won't have access to me because I have to make sure I have a daughter I got to take care of, right? I have a wife I got to keep her happy. I got a business I got to run. I got a nonprofit I got to grow, and I got to make sure that when I finish working on all those things, I built up enough resources to give you guys something quality. I also realized I can't be your everything. I'm not the only person that God's ever made. If Nana dies tomorrow, God will replace me just that fucking fast, right? So split the responsibilities. One of the tricks, so a couple tricks that givers do. One trick a giver does is they'll plan one day to give only. They don't give no other day besides that day, right? Another trick a giver does is they give to a certain small group of people and they train them to be soldier givers. And so when new people come on, they have the soldiers give to them and they continue to expand and grow their giving team. So the giving team is always given to other people, right? There's these different techniques on how to give wisely, but you have to structure giving. You have to design giving. This is where we've gone so far with this giving thing. We use giving and guilt, and we tie all these flawed ways, and before you know, we're giving fools. We have to learn to give. Now, here's the thing. Whether she got burned or didn't get burned, whether she's a taker or giver, this is not a moral call. This has nothing to do with who she is. You can't be nothing you don't know. If I tell you tomorrow, hey, this whole time you've been walking wrong, do not go home and cut your fucking leg off. Go, oh shit, okay, I need to walk differently. And don't judge yourself like, what's wrong with my legs? Right? And there's nothing wrong with your legs. The reality is that I'm introducing this idea of giving that there's not in our black community. There's nobody talking about giving in our black community in a structured way and how to use it as a tool to grow things and build things. So in the end, tell her don't sit at home and feel bad about nothing she's done. Do the old famous case of Sarah will be, and shrug your fucking shoulders, and let's keep building, baby. All right, make this announcement, and Court's going to take a switch. Me and Court's going to switch places.
So last week, actually, at the end of class, a survey went out to everyone on your email because we are gearing up to start meeting on the group Stuck, on the book Stuck. Our group is getting ready to start, and so we asked everyone to choose. We gave 3 times as options, so we asked people to choose just what time would work best. So based on our responses, Stuck is going to be on the last week of class. That's Saturday. We'll be meeting at 11:30 a.m. So the first one is coming up this Saturday. It is at 11:30. I know some of you that are here, we didn't get your responses, so we will make sure that everyone here still gets the link, the information. Even if you didn't get a chance to respond to the survey, you're all invited. We would love to have you. We saved you a seat. So I hope to see you all at 11:30. It is going to be on Zoom, so it is virtual, so you can be wherever you would like to be, but it is all based on the book Stuck, which I hope we're all reading. Questions? Shamara got a question.
Is there the opportunity to view it? Are you going to record it? Saturday's my money day. I can't give that up. So, but there was no way to say that, so I didn't. I couldn't respond. So.
Oh, microphone's your microphone?
Are you getting emails from us at all? Okay.
Since like the end of January.
Okay. After class, will you just make sure I have it? I'll take it in Tanil's absence, and we'll just make sure that you're not dropping off communication. I did see the email go out, but if you're hearing this and you're like, what email, or you're not getting emails, will you just find me at the end of class, and I'll make sure that I tap in with Tanil. We'll make sure everyone is on the communication threads. And if you can't make it, I hate that, but if you can't make it, we will record them. So we'll keep you as looped in as we can when you can't be with us live. Anybody else? Thank you.
What's good, y'all? What's happening? All right, it was already fire class. Fire class, givers, takers, matchers, amazing. When he was telling that matcher story, I was thinking about when I was a kid. I was at 5th grade. I was living on 64th and Mac over by where you live. And there's always that one hood kid who like is buff early, and he ride around, he got a chain and always ride around with his shirt off. And like he's kind of the hood bully, but everybody tolerates him, and he takes from everybody. And we just moved to that neighborhood, and my sister, was tall, light skinned, cute, so he was on her helmet. So the best way he thought to get next to her is to be nice to her little brother, right? Hey, little brother, you the little brother, cool. So he had this mongoose frame. That's all it was a mongoose frame, nothing. He was like, hey, why don't you, here, take this mongoose frame. It's real mongoose bike. It's just a frame, though. I'm like, all right. The nerd I was, I went and figured out how to put the whole bike together from just that frame. And back in the day, J.C. Penney's and Eastmont Mall sold bike parts. So I would get my lunch money from my mom and I would buy a new part every other day until I had that bike put together completely. So now I'm riding around the block with that bike, juiced, custom made, and it's mongoose. So I'm really feeling myself. I didn't know that him and my sister had went at it, and he ain't fucking with her no more. He don't like her no more, because I guess their interactions didn't go well. And he sees me. Hey, come here. What's up? He's like, I'm gonna need my bike back. I'm gonna need my bike back. You gave me this frame. I didn't give it to you. I let you borrow it. But it was just a frame. Man, give me the bike. Push me off. Took the bike and start cruising around. Bike. I got deboed. I'm 9 years old. Bro was like 14, 15, body of like a 17, 18-year-old. Nothing I could do. So guess what I did? 14, 15, I had a balcony full of bikes that I took from people. Full of bikes. My mom, where'd you get all these bikes from? Oh, I bought them. I did that. I did the same thing. Because I justified it in my mind that the worst of the worst happened to me. I built this thing and it got took from me. So that's just how the way the world worked. So fuck it. Your bike is gone too. And so a lot of times we justify our behaviors based on our experiences, which makes us form these beliefs that we ride with. And it's not until either we get our hands slapped or we get challenged that we realize, damn, that's just one little sliver of reality that I had, and now I got a new thought. And unconsciously, as harsh as that sounds, because I sounded like a pretty bad motherfucking kid, but you guys are all doing that in some way or another, something or another. You spank your kids. You think it's cool to spank your kids. Or it's all kind of little subconscious things that we do that because it just became the norm and a belief that that's it. Who don't do that? Oh, that don't make no sense. And whoever don't, something wrong with them. So this book, Liminal Thinking, the book is called Liminal Thinking, but it's a doer's book. Because if you don't do anything with it, if you ain't doing nothing with it, then it does nothing for you. There's nothing for you. So before we get rocking, I want to really admonish you guys to think about what we are really trying to do is to get you to do, not to just sit back with your thoughts and knowledge and idea. This is a doing book. You got to do this shit. Because without that, doesn't work. It does nothing. So take action on this. Take action on these things, these ways of thought, because that's how you transmute the thought into an actual real liminal thinking, a real way of thinking. And we're going to talk about it later on, but I wanted to start with that. So, Shabisha.
We are blind. Our sliver of reality is like one grain of sand in a beach.
How's your ego feel when you hear that? How's your ego feel when you hear that? Not me. God gave me the knowledge and talent to bless the world with my abilities. Our sliver of reality is like one grain of sand in a beach. Not me. My mom told me I was special. She gave birth to me with no pain. Our sliver of reality is like one grain of sand in the beach. Not me. I've been through too much shit. I got all A's in college. I'm the shit. I'm this, I'm that, I'm gifted, I'm that. We will always, like, that simple word will have us squirmy wormy in our chairs trying to dodge the fact that this is the truth. Everyone in this room, our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs is just one tiny, tiny sliver of reality. That's it. That's it. Now, this could allow us to have a much more humble outlook and reach out more to our network of people to say, I still want to do big things. I still want to do big shit. Knowing this does not reduce the fact that I want to make some big shit happen. But now I got to re-strategize how we going to make it happen. It ain't just going to be all me, nobody else. It's going to be me and a lot of people to make this happen. You see the shift in thought? It's not about me no more, because I can't do it. I'm not it. Now I need network. Now I need people. Now I need groups. Now I need to be a giver. Now I need to be able to understand what my boundaries are. I need to be giving so I can activate the law of reciprocation. And now I expand my network, and now we can make some big shit happen. If that talk before about giving didn't make you like, oh shit, man, I gotta give more. Shit. I gotta be a better giver. Then we ain't on the path. Cause it should spark that. Ooh. You start thinking, people not inviting me to shit. Is that why I ain't get them invitations? It should spark you to take new action. New action. Next slide. So, again, more of a recap. Last week, you talked about the map is not the terrain. Cold game. Cold game. A lot of times, we get so invested in a map. Nana talked about this. You get so invested in a map that you forget that the map is not the terrain. Earlier, we talked about the micro, macro, and meta ways of seeing things. If you have engaged that type of thinking into your psychology, then you can always step back. Wait a minute. Let me just step back. Let me go macro for a second. Am I actually going in the right direction? Let me go meta. Where is the world going? Is my goal still the same goal? A lot of times in this situation, you'll have these initial dreams and goals of what you want to do, who you want to be in life. And you jump into the thick of it. And now you're into the micro. Right? You're into the micro. And you've been working hella years, hella long going after it. Not realizing that if you rose above to the meta of things and said, wait, do I still want to be a billionaire and have 4 mansions that when I first started this? It might be, man, I don't want that shit. The goal is always moving up and down throughout. So your observation allows you to make sure that the direction you're going is always the right direction. Last recap. Let's go to the next slide.
And since you're the one who built the map, it's natural to believe that it corresponds to the territory that you are navigating. After all, most of the time, your map gets you where you want to go. So much so that when the map doesn't get you where you want to go, the first thing you question is not the map, but reality.
Yes. Yes. That is such a cold statement. So, in regular speak terms, the first thing you question is not yourself, but the outside world, the haters, the white folks, the Jews, these people, those folks taking our jobs, the system, systematic racism, this person, that person, and everything you not doing is blaming yourself. Where am I? Where am I on this map? Where am I, period? Plus, your cognitive dissonance, we're going to talk about some more, kicks in. And when that kicks in, it drives your beliefs down deeper into who you think you are and what you've made and what you created to be like, it got to be right. I had this dream. God gave this to me. I'm destined to do this. I've been doing this my whole life. And what it does is just furthers your confusion about how to actually get from where you are to where you want to be. The thing is, unfortunately, to get where you want to go is not more knowledge. It's not more knowledge. To get deeper along your path is not more knowledge. Most of y'all is sitting on knowledge that you have and ain't doing nothing with it. You're sitting on it. And you know how you know? Is if when somebody comes up to you with the issue, a problem, drama, or whatever, and you are so fucking raw at giving them the game of what to do. And you're like, damn, I need to give that to myself. Right? Who said that? I said that? That means you sitting on knowledge that you ain't applying. Next slide.
Beliefs are built from the pyramid of experiences, attention, theories, and judgment.
Man, he killed that, right? So beliefs are built from pyramids of experiences, attention, theories, judgment, with experience being at the bottom. That's how beliefs are built. So the experience of, say, getting my bike deboed from me, right? That's the experience. So now, the theories, then it goes the attention. Place my attention on it to create theories. It's a cold game out here in these streets. Nobody gives a fuck about nobody. It's a gangster out here. It's dog eat dog world. Get yours. So I got two choices. Don't get a bike and walk, or get another bike and make sure I protect myself. Because it can happen again. And the next time I got something for you. Right? And so once you engage those theories and judgments in the practice, and you get some positive feedback from it, you start forming this belief at the tip. This belief starts forming at the tip. And now, this is it. This is it for you. So if you like, there are no good men left, or it's hard to build a business as a black person because of all the systemic racism against us, or whatever that belief is, it just didn't pop in your head. It started from experience, and it worked its way up, and now it forms. It's the fruit. It's the fruit of all those things. Ooh. So now you got it. It's in your head. And if you have any kind of feedback loop to where it worked, then now it gets deeper embedded in your system. And then now it becomes subconscious. You forget that you even have it. Forget that it's even there. We'll talk more about that later. So that's the recap. Any questions on the recap? Because I want to make sure you guys got this. I want to make sure that it's actionable for you. So is there any questions about those three things? The blindness, the map, and how our beliefs are built. Because us going forward won't have the same impact if you're confused about those three things. Good? Okay, shit. All right, let's go.
Police brutality and the obvious truth. Every time unarmed black men are killed by police officers, a battle for the obvious unfolds in the news media, in living rooms, on social media, and elsewhere. In one narrative, police are the frontline enforcers of a racist society that systemically oppresses Black people, where poverty and hopelessness generate legitimate frustration and anger.
Okay, stop. Raise your hand if this is how you feel, if you believe that.
Come on, y'all. Come on.
Your
man.
honesty, your truth, how you feel. Police are the frontline enforcers of a racist society that systemically oppresses Black people, where poverty and hopelessness generate legitimate frustration and anger. Who believes that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
It's
All right.
gotta be more than 4, so they know the trick.
All right. Next, keep going.
In another narrative, racism may be a real problem, but poor people are responsible for their own poverty and for pulling themselves out of it. The police are just doing their job. And unfortunately, sometimes people get hurt. If people didn't break laws and resist arrest, they wouldn't be hurt by the cops.
Okay. Who's on that side? Nobody? So for the ones that had no opinion, I want to hear where you are.
There you go. Get them.
Pass the mic. Go ahead, Fern.
On the narrative that police were basically upholders of an oppressive system against Black folks. But again, it was based on my experience with police personally. And so I can understand the other side because I've heard the other side from people who believe that. And so, whereas, of course, you get, it's kind of like skewed because I've been in class so long that you kind of look at things a little differently. But yeah, I was totally in that first narrative. Fuck the police. They beat my ass. I don't give a fuck about no police. If you pull me over, I'm gonna keep driving. Fuck you. Chase me home, or we going to the police station. But now in a different state and shit, it's more like they got their job. They're under a lot of. They got their own shit going on. No human is all good or all bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
that's tight.
you get caught in the shit, and then when you with your homies, like that whole situation that happened, if you with a whole gang of people that's doing the same thing, oftentimes you just kind of you get in that mob mentality, and so you can just kind of see things from different angles. And you get to understand, like, none of it is reality and all of it is reality. It just depends on the lens that you choose to view it from.
Charlize, I want answers from all the non-hand raisers. So y'all all gotta say something.
No, that was me. I previous experiences would have me in the first narrative, but years of having this class and really just seeing just a different lens and just the layers and angles that come out of this conversation. Just even the whole conversation around defunding the police. When that started, I was like, then who are you supposed to call? And that was me jumping back and forth between an area because I'm like, I get the fuck the police part and they need to be defunded, but then who am I? My first reflex is going to be 911 and call police if something's jumping off in front of my building. So you're playing both sides of that. So, and I think after 2020, that was a real eye-opening lens of trying to look at it from both angles with the George Floyd situation and how to be reactive and proactive in those situations. But, it is the class. It has made it more eye-opening to both sides of that narrative, even though personal experience sometimes automatically makes me react to the first narrative.
Okay, I raised my hand for the first one. But I do also believe that multiple things can be true at the same time. And I look at this as a spectrum, and there are many other perspectives within the spectrum that are true in my mind, and it has to do with past experiences. I can say, yes, that is true, but also for other people and sometimes me, there are parts in that I think, yes, that is true. So I'm kind of all in the spectrum.
Next. Thank you. She like, fuck the police. No, go ahead.
107. Actually, I'm gonna take the flip side here. So I used to believe the other side because where I grew up around a lot of white people. I grew up in situations where when black people did something, you're the only black person in the room. Everybody's looking at you. Everybody wants to know, well, what happened? Why do you think that happened? What? I don't know. And why do they keep doing this? It's embarrassing to me. That was my perspective. I don't believe that anymore because I've seen lots of perspectives now as I grow up. But yeah, that's how I felt. Like when you're the only black person in the room or you're one of few black people in the room, you know, you have a whole different perspective of how people are viewing you in those situations. And it makes you resentful of poor people.
That's human.
I love
That's
that.
human.
Thank
That's
you.
human.
Thank you for that answer.
Yeah,
We got
that's
one
tight.
up. We got over here.
I didn't raise my hand because I feel like both of those are pretty extreme. Like I feel like just grouping the police or poor people in one category is a lot. And then also I just feel like living here in Oakland, the police kind of fuck with like everybody. Like if you see people protesting, they're going to be blocking off the streets to make sure cars aren't hitting them, or they don't bother black people or poor people or whatever out here. So
Okay. Good input. Next, who else? Did we get all the non-hand raisers? I think y'all still hiding. Couple of y'all. There you go. There you go, Kaja.
Oh, okay. We know Kaj got an opinion. Come on now.
I'm conflicted because as I thought about it, I thought I have never had an interaction with the police. So it's hard for me to, and I'm gratefully, right, thankfully. So it's hard for me to form an opinion. But if I think about it rationally, the police force is made from the society at large, right? That's who's comprising the police force. So it's no wonder that you would find whatever you find in society at large, you would find in the police force. And I think that society at large is horribly dissociated from anything outside of moving to the punitive as the first step. So then this to me becomes the natural outcome of that. You know, there's not in most cities, in most states, a number to call when there is a mental health episode versus a criminal episode. So you end up having criminal reactions to mental health issues, right? So this kind of, it's hard to find where the even ground is between these two. I don't really know, which is why I didn't raise my hand on either.
Love that answer. Love that. Good perspective, and it points to a lot. Next.
I mean, what I saw in there was a little, I hate to say this word, but binary. It's like either one side is that there's an entire oppressive system bent on destroying black people, and the other side is saying that there's one group of people and all their problems could be fixed if they were to understand how to fix them. And I don't think it's that simple, and there's multiple layers to what's going on. And as somebody said earlier, there could be many truths. And part of that is that some of these laws are made to protect or help certain other people, and then it has a spillover effect where it fucks over a lot of other people. Like with East 14th and the prostitute situation where there's just a lot of like women and pimps on the street. I got to photograph the guy who introduced that law, and he basically said that the reason it was created was to protect transgender women from getting stopped by cops and being profiled. And the spillover of that was like incredibly, you know, as we can see, disproportionate. But, you know, there's just multiple ways to see it, and whoever's being affected is going to create a reality in their head that puts them as the victim.
Okay, so this is what I want to say. The when we talk liminal thinking, let's never be put off by an extreme on any side, because it could be A or Z or anything in between or all those things. So the times where we say, well, that one, it seems super, extreme, just polarized, system that's designed to oppress black people. That just is not, that's too extreme. But liminal thinking saying, that's one idea. Oh, that's a second idea. Oh, that's a third idea. Oh, that's a fourth idea. What are we trying to do here? What's our goal? And how can we use these ideas to push our narrative? Because there may be times where if you, in your business, where with liminal thinking, you have a liminal thinking, but you may need to push an idea. Sort of like if I had a black mama, she was smart. If I wasn't feeling good to the point to where she's like, I think we got to go to the doctor. But it wasn't to the extreme where she had to call 911 and get an ambulance. She called a doctor and tell him I was dying. He's dying. She knew I wasn't dying. I knew I wasn't dying, but she knew for me to get the attention that I needed in the moment that I needed and get the people there to get around me, she pushed that extreme narrative. Some of y'all are caught in the right and wrong of this. It's not about right and wrong. As an entrepreneur, liminal thinking is saying, what are all the options and what are we doing here? If we have to push more laws, then we have to jolt some folks. But you know what's going on. You know what's happening. You're not emotionally triggered by any of the shit. So if you hear the one on the left side and you're like, well, that's fucked up, I'm gonna go throw some rocks at police cars, and you're not emotionally jolted by the other side. Did anybody feel any kind of way when Shamar was talking about how she was originally on the other side? Did anybody feel like anything in their stomach? Like, whoa, really? That's how you felt? Because thank you. Oh yeah, go ahead, grab them.
Well, it's kind of a similar thought, but when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at all of the statements as individual statements, then they're all true and all false at the same time, where they look separate in columns, but each individual statement is an individual statement of itself. So my own experience growing up in San Francisco, I grew up primarily around white people, but I also grew up poor, and I've also worked with the police. And so all of these statements are all true, and I've experienced them in different levels. So when I'm saying, when I look at one side in the narrative, the police are the frontline enforcers of the racist society, so on and so forth. Yes. And they're just doing their jobs, because one individual could show up doing their job, and their job and assignment was to do that thing. So all of the statements are true at the same time, and they're all false at the same time. So I can't make a clarifying decision on how I really feel about individual moments until I'm experiencing them in that moment.
So let's go back 3 slides. Let's go 3 slides back. Keep going. Right there. Can somebody read that? Go ahead, Shabisha.
We are all blind. Our sliver of reality is like one grain of sand in a beach.
So do you guys recognize the fact that your opinion on that boiled down to your experience, which is a tiny sliver, like a 1 grain of sand on the beach, and you will fight this grain next to you for being different? Just one sliver. Let's keep reading.
That's tight.
There are other narratives too, many of them too many to go into here, the competing narratives are so different that they seem like different versions of reality, which is exactly what they are.
Yo. Some shit will seem like it's completely different realities. If you hear, what? They doing what? My next door neighbors do what? Or Republicans believe what? When Donald Trump was doing his thing and about to get elected, you saw this come out. How many Facebook posts did you see? If you're voting for Donald Trump, unfollow me right now. Meaning, I don't even fuck with you on a friend level. I don't fuck with you in life no more, based on who you're gonna vote for. And basic ideologies, meaning we all part of the same United States. We created this map as a United States. We created the rules, Republican and Democrat, and people in their belief are so tied in that even within the rules of our game that we created and decided to play, I will never fuck with you again because you vote for Donald Trump. Unfollow me. People stop fucking with each other based on their views on police brutality. No longer friends. It's people that don't talk to you no more right now based on that reason. Police just doing their job. Blue lives matter. Black lives matter. Little blades of grass, little slivers of sand, running around looking foolish.
One of the things that I wanted to add is what happens from being in here is the analogy about the blade of grass and the sand was really powerful, because when I looked at both of those things, because I had the privilege of not just being in here, but I had the privilege of working on a project with the police, I don't really walk into extremes, or I have a lot of tools to walk myself out of them. But what I found is, because it's all human nature, I find myself looking at the people who think either one of those extremes is silly, which is the same thing as the blade of grass. It's still the sand. It's still doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that I wanted to bring up. Like, one of the things that, for me, I find that I can't, it's not like I'm hypersensitive, but I do find that I do have to be mindful of when I'm sliding into that binary place, because just because I had this moment of being able to walk myself back away from it, it doesn't necessarily mean that this new way of thinking, I don't run into like the human part of Shabisha, which is, why would you ever not be friends with someone because they voted for Trump? That's silly. Why would you ever do these things because that's silly? So because I think that's silly, it's still kind of playing around with that construct and that paradigm. So that was just a check for me in listening to some of the ways that people think, that because I have a perception that my view is less binary and a lot more fluid, that it's still important for me to be reflecting and be mindful and aware of how I am holding that information, because so I just wanted to raise that, because I was like, oh, I noticed this little thought of like, I know better. This doesn't really matter. It matters less. It's still a blade of grass.
Yeah, blade of grass. One blade of grass. One grain of sand, because there's opposite thoughts. There's opposite thoughts that are right. There's truth. There's everything, because that wasn't extreme it wasn't an extreme for the small group of people who got beat to death. But liminal thinking says, all right, well, let me step back. What's the numbers? What's another idea? What's another idea? Can this be true? Can this be true? What's the numbers? I see what the media shows me, but what are the actual numbers? Oh shit, no, it's a tiny group. So you got to be careful about that. I was on cold game. Somebody had asked me to do a Zoom call about entrepreneurship, black entrepreneurship, give some game, whatever. So I'm like, for sure, I got you. Let's do it. We get on the call. The brother so they do like a intro of who's in the class on the Zoom. So he gets to this one brother and he's choked up. And he said, man, I'm sorry, I'm just disheveled. My brother just got beat by 5 police officers. The thing that just happened. My brother. So I'm trying to get my mom's flight to fly out there. So the actual brother of this brother who just got killed was on my entrepreneurship call. Wow. And I was going to talk radical responsibility and I'm glad that happened because I shifted a lot of my shit. Because who the fuck am I to be talking about that kind of shit when I don't care if it's 0.001% that happened. It happened to his family. So you think I'm going to be like, well, yeah, but statistically, liminal thinking says, no, I'm talking about something else.
Can I two things. I like what you said, Shabish, about you're going to have the feeling, but I think what we're suggesting is you acknowledge the feeling, you see the feeling, but then you give yourself permission to be curious. That's one. 2, rationality is scalable. Something that's rational here won't be rational here. So, for example, if I say to you, hey, Shamar, I'm gonna give you $1,000 to this task, right? Shamar can take it, right? But you might not take it. And you say, well, why not? Because maybe $1,000 doesn't mean the same to you. Maybe the task that I'm asking you to do your time is different value. So even something as rational as money changes its value based upon how it scales. So when you think about liminal thinking and diversity of thoughts, don't only go lateral, go vertical. It goes both ways. So it gets crazy. So even when you think, everybody thinks this way, what level are you talking about? What belief system you talking about? It's crazy.
True story. Multi-dimensional. Let's go next slide.
Let me read that one. Beliefs create a shared world.
So understand this. Once you form beliefs, you send a beacon out to others about what you believe, right? It comes out of your pores. It comes out of who you are, how you move, how you talk, what you say. So when you say something and people are like, oh, for real, me too. You just connected on a shared belief. We should call hey, what's your number? We should connect. Because now you're reaffirming your beliefs in a particular area and you're growing your tribe. Mm-hmm. And now 2 people. And you guys are moving now with dynamics and with your belief system, and you're proud of it because you found another person who believes like you. And you see, hey, you guys are dope. What you about? Well, this is what we believe. I believe that too. 3, 4. And that's how groups form, and that's how tribes form. Now, there's beauty in this and there's danger in this, and we'll talk about more about that later. But what I want to pinpoint in this particular slide is the idea of governing beliefs. So there's light beliefs and then there's governing beliefs. Governing beliefs are the ones that you believe so long and they've worked for you so long that they seep deep down into your subconscious mind. You don't even realize you believe them. You don't think about it. It's embedded. And it's embedded so much that maybe others see it, but a lot of times even other people don't see it either. Because it's just the way it is. And so those are the beliefs that are hardest to change. So governing beliefs are the hardest beliefs to change because most of the time, a lot of the time, you don't even know you believe it till an event happens or you hit a rock bottom or something's been working for you for so long to the point to where now that shit ain't working and now you're suffering because of it. They say when things are going good, you partying. When things are going bad, you're pondering. And when you're pondering, what you're doing is you're scrolling through all your beliefs, questioning them. She's fucked up. Damn. Was that belief? Should I move with that? That's why in those moments, your ears are open to mentors, gurus, teachers, books, and all those things because your life is fucked up and now you don't know which belief is the one that's causing it. So you're like, teach me something, and I'm listening now. Oh, hold on, let me take notes. So when you said this last week, did you actually mean this or that? Is because you are trying to uproot governing beliefs that's holding you back. So that's your target. If your life is if your life is completely fucked up and you don't know why, I will roll a dice on governing beliefs. So that's deep down there. It's deep down there. And here's a deal. Some of you might even know that they deep down there, but you scared as fuck to touch them. Because you think it's going to mess you up. It's going to make you crazy. It's going to uncover some things that you don't want to look at. So you rather just leave them down there and like put a wig on a pig on top of it. Let me do something else. Let me go do Pilates. Let me do yoga. Let me try this meditation shit. Let me do this. Let me do some sage. Let me do all the shit surrounding everything surrounding the actual real shit of uncovering and dislodging those governing beliefs, questioning them. Charlize.
It's tight.
What if that governing belief has not been discovered yet? This usually in a situation where you're triggered or an experience happens and then somehow this belief probably uproots out of somewhere. So in that situation, how do you kind of pause yourself to really try to question it before you're too reactive, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so typically you just said it. You just gave the answer. There's a trail to it. It usually is a trigger, an event, a trigger, or a life situation. It's not working for me. Or I just got triggered. Oh shit, what is that? This is the third time that's happened. Now, do I want to just toss it and I'll get back to that later because that was crazy. If you ever had a panic attack, you had panic attacks, anybody? Anxiety attacks? Triggered by something. You can't breathe damn near. Your body's like, what the So that anxiety, panic, those things, is nothing wrong with you because you see multiple people have them, but it's tied to a governing belief that you don't want to fuck with. Because if I don't pull this out, I don't know what might happen to me. So it's safer for me to keep it down here. But you usually get the trails. You get triggered, you get stuck. You came around this corner about 14 times. How come this? I was trying to get to my path, but this block looked familiar. Shit, I don't just keep going. Oh, I'm back here again. Back here again, back here again. Whether that's job, relationship, situation, money, whatever. What's pulling you down is that governing belief. Okay, time out. What's going on? I used to have a first time it happened to me. I was probably married for a year and a half. That's probably when my wife was like, "This motherfucker is crazy." Hey, you can come in if you want. Come on in. Sit down. Have a seat. We're talking about business and entrepreneurship. Yeah.
You family, come on.
You family, come on.
Yeah.
Um, and me and her, we just chilling and we watched Amistad. And I forgot that whenever I was in high school, I was like the at-risk kid who had mental issues and like behavioral problems. So like whenever they get to history about slavery, I'd do something to get kicked out or kick a chair, push my desk over or something. And like I'd never stay for it. So I forgot I'm living my life. I'm married, cupcaking, sitting on the couch, and Amistad comes on. We do a little rental, and I lost it. Start punching walls when I seen a black woman dropped in the water. I'm a protector. I'm an alpha male, black women. I protect black women, and now I can't protect this black woman getting dumped in the water, and I lose it. I start punching walls and crying and punching, and my wife was like, "Who is this? What did I sign up for?" Right? And over time, I noticed the next slave movie and the next slave movie. So you know what I said? I'm not watching slave movies no more. But what is the governing belief underneath that? Then once you pull that out to the surface and you spread it out and use liminal thinking to be like, okay, it could be this. Here's an idea. Here's a thought. Here's a thought. Here's all of them. Let's spread them all out. And let's work with them to understand them. Then you heal from that.
Isn't that SQ?
That's SQ. That's SQ. And then we'll go.
Real quick on triggers, right? So when we think trigger, we usually think about stuff like anxiety or something that is more traditionally mental health, like what traditionally falls under mental health. So for me, though, mine was more subtle, but no less impactful to me. It was anger. So if you were a person who tended to fly off the handle, if you showed any sort of emotion, the emotion that I didn't like, which was going toward the way of anger. So if we go out somewhere, you get into it with somebody, I will never go out with you again. And I was serious. If you are like, we don't need a whole lot of times with that because I'm not going to be around you. But my reason for it was I don't do anger. You should figure out a better way to express what's going on. Like, you don't have to do that. So what I did was anytime that anybody was a bit emotionally, they were too emotional for me. Didn't mean that they were for me. I would just distance myself. And if you were a person who made me angry, I felt like, well, I'm at risk. I'm gonna go to jail. I can't be around you because if you make me angry, anger was a trigger. It wasn't until maybe 2 years ago. So I will say this, but I was like that my adult life. I didn't really start to understand that anger was healthy until about 2 years ago in here. And I remember I would be over Nana's house saying, like, I think I'm going to try and start to see if I can get around this anger thing. I think I'm ready to kind of start peeling back that. But it took me some time. It took me some time to not demonize people for being angry. It took me some time to not demonize myself for feeling anger and starting to like embrace that as like just a normal part of my own range as a human. But I wanted to bring in anger because the story was that was going to make me like, you know, I come from a family that's pretty violent. They'll get you quick. And for me, that was detrimental because it was going to railroad me from where I was trying to go. And so I did not want to feel like somebody was Geppetto, puppet master, and all you had to do was get me upset and then I'm off to the races. But in avoiding it, I was actually never dealing with it. Right? So all you wanted, if you needed to shut me down, make me angry. Right? So, and then I'm stuck and I don't have another gear. So I wanted to bring it in, one, because it's so subtle and nobody ever feels like you need to go see the therapist because you're angry. But it can be anything. It's my story around it that was the point, because it would completely make me say no to those people, no to those opportunities, no to those situations, no to everything. And I had a hard leash on the experiences that I allowed myself to have in life if I felt like there was any potential for me to experience what I didn't want to experience. But I, talk about a trigger for 14 years. I probably had that trigger for 30 years.
That's deep. So here's another one, Charlize. Another way of knowing those governing beliefs are bottled is you're defensive as fuck if somebody gets close to them. What? No. See, no. When you get that, when that defensiveness kicks in, that's when you know you are guarding a governing belief that you're guarding with your life. Don't go there. I got 3 locks on that. And I'm not opening it up, and I'll fight you before you get me to open that up. And here's the thing: these governing beliefs will tear your life apart. Because if you got a governing belief that the white man is out to get you, how you gonna build a business? How you gonna build something? You're always gonna be scared about this looming white man. So guess what a lot of times you do? You'll sabotage your own shit. If you got a governing belief that men or women can't be trusted, then if that's deep down in there, before shit gets bad, you sabotage your own shit. Let me get out before something bad happens. I'd rather get out of here before you break my heart. Man, that was that good dude right there, or woman. You see, that's how dangerous this type of shit is. These governing beliefs. Because if we go back to that slide, our beliefs is just that sliver of grass, that grain of sand. So it's not necessarily true for you. It's just one little idea based on some experiences that you had or heard, or, my dad cheated on my mom, so, that means it's all like that. Or my mom cheated on my dad, so it's all like that. So that's your belief. So you move it with those governing beliefs down there. That's where a lot of our poverty, our scarcity, our brokenness, all of that shit comes from, those governing beliefs down there. If you went to church as a kid and you had to sit there for hours listening, and over time, pastor would preach and read the scriptures about how poverty is good, being rich is bad. It's easier for the, what's that? Camel and eye of a needle for rich men to get in heaven.
Some man, turn the sound off. The sound off is playing.
Yeah, I know. I forgot that one. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for the rich man to get to the kingdom of heaven. What? So if you are a God-fearing person, and if they didn't preach that right, imagine getting a big bag and you really care about your relationship with God and your church and your Christianity and your spirituality. You're going to feel some type of way. Guess what? Self-sabotage. Let me fuck this up. I'm trying to get into heaven. I'm trying to get into heaven. While I say fuck this up.
You self-sabotage.
Gotcha.
It's good.
So as you talk about this court, I'm identifying with my own foundational belief. Is foundational? What's the word?
Governing.
Governing. Thank you. Governing beliefs. Do you think that you can, if I think back to that diagram with experience being the widest, the widest rung on the bottom, can you liminally think yourself out of those beliefs, or do you have to have experiences to replace them because they're rooted in something?
Ooh, I love that. You're reading the next couple slides, so yes, we're gonna talk about that.
Wait, did you see Charlie start dancing? She loved that question.
All right. Well, then let's move on because I want to get to that.
This is tight.
We work together to create and maintain this shared map of reality. You have different shared maps with different people. These are also useful. These are useful because they allow us to do things together. They are also efficient. But once the map gets out of sync, there will be a mismatch between the map and reality, creating blind spots.
So you not the same person to every single group that you move in. You split yourself up into multiple people. Especially those of us black folks who have corporate jobs or schools. You got a square version of you that speaks hella proper and then you go home and you talk hella hood, and then you go to your friends, you got a different way. Like there's multiple versions of you. And you share maps with those groups of people that share those beliefs, and you keep them in those boxes, and you don't cross game at all. Have you ever accidentally text one of your work friends some hood shit? Oh shit. There was no unseen back then, and you do the little LOL, my bad. Right? Because those walls are so high and thick mentally that they never cross. Let's go next slide. So this is what. Oh, okay, cool.
That's tight. That's tight. Go ahead.
So blind spots. Did we talk about this last week? So blind spots. We talked about when you swerving over and you have a car right here in your blind spot. So blind spots are the worst. They're the worst events that happen because it's that uncertainty that he talked about, the randomness. Here's a thing. Blind spots feel like randomness. A blind spot crash will feel like randomness. But in actuality, it was a blind spot. See the difference? If you look up in your rearview mirror, you look to your right mirror, you start getting over. Bang, you hit a car. What the fuck was that? Right? Because your brain, you did all the pre-checks. You looked, but you didn't turn your neck and look behind you. But your brain tells you did the right stuff. So it feels random. It feels like some kind of random act. But in reality, it was you. You did not do the full, you didn't do the full due diligence. It was a blind spot. So when some of the accidents happen in your life, when life accidents happen, whether in business, work, relationships, personal life, health, and you feel like things came out the woodwork, man, it just came out the woodwork. No, most of that didn't come out the woodwork. That was growing and growing and growing and growing this whole time. But you couldn't see it because it was a blind spot. So you gave it strength. It allowed to incubate and grow and come whoop your ass in that moment. That's why it's always good, going back to what Nana says, that's why it's good to have a network. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And if your governing belief is that anybody challenges your ideas are challenging your whole character as a human, that don't even work. Oh shit, I'm defensive. Oh shit, I don't like that. When you can genuinely say, what do you think about this idea? And they're like, well, here's a hole here, and that don't make no sense to me. You probably need to fix that. That's what protects you from blind spots. That's why if you got hella yes people around you, fuck them. Mm-hmm. Y'all all an accident waiting to happen. I can't stand yes people. That's a good idea, Court. That's a good idea. Yeah, good job. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Because I know if we all feel this way, something ain't right. And to my friends, I do them a disservice if I become a yes man to them. And I watch you crash and I disagreed. Fuck no. I value myself as a friend and a giver to give you my perspective. So if your grain of sand is green and mine is brown, just to be your friend, I'm going to say, no, I'm green too right now. Hell no. I'm going to give you my perspective because you may be able to see things slightly different to allow you to have a better outcome. Blind spots create accidents, but you created the blind spot. Network. Being open, having liminal thinking. Say, oh, I think that I got the best solution in this. Let me run it back past somebody. Last example, told y'all I'm raising money. So I'm having meetings with all these investors. So investor hit me and this investor going back and forth. He hitting me with questions. Bang. Answer. Bang. He hit question. Bang. I'm hitting him back. We going back and forth. Ping pong. So he hits me with one. Whoo, shit. I do not know what the fuck he just said, what that means, what that is. So I go on the internet. First thing, because my ego's like, I'm going to get this. So I go on the internet and I look up the questions he asked me and the answers on the internet. So I type up this whole 2-paragraph answer to hit him back. Right, hold on. So I copy the question. I text it to three billionaires that I knew, that I had in my phone. What's this? One got back to me. I was completely wrong. What he asked me was like insider wording shit that investors say to each other that you ain't gonna find on the internet. So I quickly deleted all my shit and put the answers that he was like, no, this means this, that means that. I was like, whoo, shit. Glad I did that. Still in play. But I thought I had it down too. And I was like, I found this on the internet. I got the dopest answers, everything. I'm good. Let me double check, right? I looked over, everything looks clear, but let me just double check. That's the power of this. Next slide.
That's good.
There is also a hidden part of you that you don't want the public to know about.
Mm-hmm.
That's cute, baby.
Now let's talk about that real shit. Mm-hmm. That's just life. That's us being humans. That ain't nothing wrong with us. Nothing wrong with you. Humans, we're multifaceted humans. And that's what makes life fun, random, uncertain. But there's a portion of y'all don't show to your mama. You don't show to your coworkers. There's certain groups. There's a hidden part of you that only you and the people you do it with know. So if you a freak on the low, God bless you. But you're not gonna go proclaim that everywhere. It's only gonna be the hidden part of you. That's the shadow part of us. Mm-hmm. Because we're complex human beings. We're complex. So and in that hidden part of you comes with a set of beliefs. Right? There's a certain beliefs in that. And you guys justify, I know I do, and I used to do it a lot. You justify your behavior based on those beliefs. Is it right or is it wrong? Doesn't matter. It's a part of you, and it's who you are. Next slide. So, everything we just talked about breaks down in those four boxes. It's called a Johari window. It's in the book. So, the left side is what's known to others, and then what's unknown to others. And on the bottom, it's known by you on the left and unknown by you. And you have 4 different versions of yourself with 4 different tribes in that box with 4 sets of beliefs. So the one that's open says, known by both you and others. That's your outside self. You walk down the street. Oh no, I'm a giver. I'm a nice guy. I'm this. I'm that. Oh man, Court's such a nice guy. but you go down, there's hidden parts of me. That's crazy, sick, sadistic, freak, all those things that only the people who know. There's certain groups of people who, if they knew I was teaching a black entrepreneur class to uplift my people, they were like, hell no. Because 12-year-old version of me, I wouldn't have thought that. I didn't give a fuck. I was a taker because I was taking, shit was taken from me, so I was a taker. I'm get mine. 15 years ago, hell, I got friends that I ain't talked to in 15 years that wouldn't even imagine where I am. Then you have, we talked about the blind spot part. Unknown to you, but known by others. You got bird shit on the top of your head. You don't even know. You just walk around, hey, how you doing? Yeah, hey, give me a hug. And people are like, ugh, I don't want to hug you. Because you don't realize you got bird shit on the top of your head. And ain't nobody telling you.
Takers. That's what takers are.
Mm-hmm. The NAS is unknown by both you and others. Part of that is those beliefs, governing beliefs down there. You don't even know. People don't even know. They go back to interview the neighbors and the mom of a serial killer, and they were like, he was a nice kid. He was a nice kid. Guess what happened? He had a governing belief down there that he didn't even know, and he got triggered. Bang! Lost his mind. That's why it's important for you to always be working on yourself. Always be working on yourself. Next slide.
Cognitive dissonance is catastrophic to liminal thinking.
So, first of all, what is cognitive dissonance? So, cognitive dissonance is once a human decides something is true or right or believes something, you can't undo it. You can't pull them out that belief for nothing, no matter what. They will justify that belief at all costs. So the example that it gave in the book was talking about this religious leader who they said the end of the world was coming. And she said, we're all, all the aliens is going to come get us at 12 a.m. At 12 a.m., the spaceship is going to come down because God talked to me, and we're going to drift off into the motherland. And she somehow talked lots of people into believing, and they all sitting in this house waiting for the aliens to come. 12 o'clock happens. She start crying. I don't understand. God told me this. So she goes to talk to God. God tells her, it's coming in a little bit, but we need you guys to start praying harder for it to happen. Just pray harder, and it's going to happen. So she tells her people, hey, you guys, we got to just pray harder, and it's going to happen. They all go start praying hard. Hour later, 2 hours later, ain't no spaceship, ain't no aliens, nobody comes to the door. But God tells her, hey, check this out. There's no more end of the world. You guys prayed so hard that you saved the world. So that group and she and that group were so excited that they saved the world that they called all the news outlets and told them what they'd done. It's psychotic, but that's what cognitive dissonance does. We'll lock in on a belief when certain people had locked in on Donald Trump, locked in. Yo, he did this. I know, but he did this. No, I know. He said grab him by the. I know, but that's just locker room talk. Like, it doesn't matter what you could do or say. At that point, once I choose you, you're chosen, and I'm ride or dying. That's why it's catastrophic for liminal thinking. It prevents you from going macro. It prevents you from going meta. You stuck in the micro and you locked in. I chose you, you mine. We're gonna ride this shit till the wheel fall off. And as an entrepreneur, that's devastating because all you're waiting for is a speed bump, pothole, something, and it's a wrap for you. Next slide.
Is tribalism cognitive dissonance?
Huh?
Is tribalism cognitive dissonance?
What do you mean?
Because it's like this. I chose you. Well, you didn't choose them, but like your tribe. Like I chose it. I got to ride with them no matter what. I got to always look out. I got to have.
Yeah, it can become. It can. But when you hear something really weird about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a war. So, like, I believe smoking is bad for you, but I like smoking, right? But when you get in that war, you beat yourself up so bad that you go into self-care. And self-care is just do what you did before. So self-care keeps you in a loop. So this is when self-care works against you. Cognitive dissonance mixed with self-care means you ain't going nowhere. Down. I was like Jesse Jackson. So in the end, because what happens is that you're beating yourself up in cognitive dissonance. And so when you finally subscribe to self-care, you try to use it as a patch, like what you were saying earlier. You try to use these outside things as a patch. As soon as you attach self-care to that, you get caught in this loop, a vicious loop. And this is what keeps you stuck. It's in that book also.
Mm-hmm. My man put hands on me, right? Your man put hands on me. He hit you. But I chose him, and I love him. And it's something that I did. I shouldn't have did X, Y, or Z. I can fix him. I can make him better. We got children. You're locking yourself in. Right? That's what cognitive dissonance does. It locks you into a particular belief regardless. And as a liminal thinker, you got to be on the move, baby. You got to be on the move. You can't be tied to shit. I ain't tied to no beliefs. None. The only beliefs I'm tied to are the ones that work for me. And if it stopped working, it's in the trash. I sometimes like, damn, this is my current belief. I'm rocking with it, but here's another one. Shit, I hope I'm wrong because maybe I'll level up. If I'm wrong, shit, I didn't leveled up. Because I'm always looking for new beliefs. I don't give a shit what it is. Now, some of y'all is sensitive, especially around who we marry, who we choose to be in a relationship, what God we choose to worship, where we from, our association with our tribe, our family. Those things is like hard lines in the sand. Don't fuck with my Oakland. Or family over everything. If that's your governing belief, family over everything. Go ahead.
Sorry, just put your sandwich down. Yeah, it's okay.
How do you tell the difference between something that is challenging you or stretching you, growing you, versus something that isn't working for you anymore?
Well, challenge, stretch, grow is all on the same team, right? It's all related. You know what I'm saying? I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. The fruits. You look at the fruits. So if you have a particular intention or a goal of where you want to be or what you want to do, and you've been attacking, meaning you've been taking action, not just sitting back thinking or like philosophizing. You've been taking action, and it feels like you've gone nowhere. And research shows, because some things is a commitment. Some things take years. It takes years to start seeing roots and sprouts. But if on average you've been going hard, you've been going consistent, you've been and you feel stuck, that's one. Two, if you find yourself in the same situation, meaning I'm in a relationship with the same dude, he just look a little different.
I know that one.
You know, that's not growth. That's not, you're not challenging yourself. You're not pushing yourself. You're stuck in that same loop. And then we're going to go into the next slide that answers your question too, and I think it's going to answer that. But that's the other one.
Most people choose beliefs from these three options. Ride your beliefs until your wheels fall off.
Okay, hold on. That's cognitive dissonance. I'm riding this till the wheels fall off. Period. I joined this gang, and the gang is for life. We gonna die on this shit. I remember speaking of that, like, I tried to get my father out the crack house, right? My father had been on crack since I was 9 years old. As an adult, he was on his way out to die. And so the social worker called me and said, we didn't even know he had kids. We're out here in St. Louis, and he ain't gonna make it. But so do you want him to die in a crack house? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go get my dad, save, and put my cape on. Flew my ass to St. Louis. You talking about hood? You talking about hood? Hood. Look like horror movie hood, like no sidewalks. My hood has sidewalks and houses. St. Louis hood? So I'm trying to still keep my game face on. I got this tiny little weapon with me, which was gonna be non-effective, but I thought I had my shit together. I bust through the thing looking for my dad. I find him in the back. He didn't even know who I was. Who are you? I'm your son. Which one? So he had to name all 8 of them to get to me.
Wow.
That one. That's me. What you doing here? What, Courtney? Yes, I'm here. Let's go. You know what he told me? I don't want to go. I want to die on this shit. Thanks. I want to die on this shit. That's, you ride your beliefs till the wheels fall off. A couple months later, he passed away. That's the wheels. And once you lock in on a belief, it could be a life sentence for you. Whether that's the religion you choose, the God you choose to worship, the person you choose to be with, the job you choose to have, the lifestyle you want. This seems extreme, but a lot of us are stuck here. A lot of us are stuck here. Second one.
Ditch your beliefs once they show lack of scalability.
Yeah, it's my fault, my little typo error. Ditch your belief once they show lack of scalability. That's what most successful entrepreneurs do. You don't have time you don't sometimes know the perfect belief. You just pick one and you go. And if you have liminal thinking, you're going to be constantly watching, observing, changing, shifting, moving in new ones, growing, observing that one. And that's your rhythm. It's not a right and wrong game. While some of y'all will sit back and wait for the perfect play to start, I done made 14 mistakes and learned from every single one of them, and I just smoked you. I just smoked you. And you're smarter than me. Your IQ's higher. But the idea of taking action plus liminal thinking means, oh, this doesn't work, and having a network and testing ideas with your friends, it's gangster on how fast you can grow. It ain't about you. Remember, back to the slide. A little grain of sand. That's you, cuz. It's you. It's you. A little grain of sand. Liminal thinking is like, I have access to all these grains of sands. And I'm constantly hopping from one to the next to the next. Don't work? Okay, boom. Cool, fine. I said and sometimes the perfectionist will be like, well, you said last week that you was doing this. And I'm like, so? Give a fuck. Not doing it now. I learned, I grew, I changed my thought. Now I'm a different person. Third one.
Adopt scalable beliefs from the start.
That's hard to do. It's rare, and it rarely it leads to success. Because, like he mentioned earlier, everything changes at scale. So the belief that you have that's completely scalable sucks at the beginning. Somebody's like, Court, the course, when I first started CourseMint, my website sucked. Yeah, my website sucks, but that's all I got right now. So I'm gonna just grow it and get better as I go. I'm gonna do another pass through and improve it. And another pass through and improve it. And keep adding things to it, so then 4 or 5 years later, it looks like something that's dope. Things that's like, so I want to stress that number 3 is ready, fire, aim. You do the best you can, you get ready the best you can, you do the best research you can, and you fire. And then you learn from the fire. Let's go to the next slide.
How is your relationship with reality?
Would anybody want to answer that one? No hands again? No hands? Oh, no hands?
Oh,
okay.
got one.
Oh, we got one. Okay. All right, cool.
Got gangster in the room.
Yeah, she with the shit.
I'd say I'm learning my relationship with reality now, because I was always coming from a space as this is how it should be. I would always ponder on the past. I wish it was this way. I wish it was this way. It should have been this way, where I would get stuck in living in that past. And I had a hard time accepting for what is as is, which made me ponder even more. Now it just kind of spiraled down. But just being in this class and reading these books is teaching me how the quicker you accept what is, it's easier to move on, and it's easier to figure out the best way to move forward. So my relationship with reality now, it's an evolving one, but I've learned how to make the reality my own.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good answer.
Good answer.
Evolving, but from a different perspective. I did a lot of future casting. So even most of the stuff that I learned in here was like one day. When I get to, then I will. So I bypassed the present often because I was feasting a lot of what was going to happen when it got perfect, or not perfect, but just better than what I knew, right? And I maybe you can say that's attributed to like my dislike of uncertainty, but that was a way for me to not have to deal with uncertainty, right? I could just learn all this stuff here, and then one day, and then that what I didn't want to do was like give up the comfort of, now I'm psychoanalyzing myself, but because it's but I practice being present a lot very recently, within the past year or two, or I practice awareness of like when I'm checking out, when I'm saying, I'll do that this weekend. So even as far as like I brought it in closer, it's like, okay, if I say I'm going to do this weekend doesn't exist. That's the future. What can I do today? But I'm always like reining myself back in from going to the future, because I'm very practiced at that. So that's as far as I've gotten with it. There's a lot more to go, but that's kind of where I'm sitting with it now.
Jordan, that's good.
Right now, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with uncertainty, but the challenge I'm having is not knowing how to have expectations. Like when I talk to certain people, they're like, you should expect this to happen, or you should expect this to be big, or you should expect to take it this far. But I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna try my best and, see where it goes.
Who tells you that? Like a seminar person?
No, like just like average individuals. They like, for instance, what I got out right now, like my book. I'm moving how I'm moving. I'm trying my best, and they're like, you gotta expect it to be this, or you gotta expect it to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I do. All right, well, let's go
he
one more,
does.
and then I'll talk about it. I do.
Yeah, he really does.
I would say it's the hardest relationship I've ever been in. I mean, because it requires you to. I mean, our reality is really based on how we show up to ourselves, and once I've kind of started to understand that engagement with myself, I've also understood that I have the ability to reshape that reality. So it's every day. I think it's a bittersweet because I wake up knowing that this day's outcome is based on how I'm showing up to it, but that might not be what my mood is today. So I would say because it's an ongoing working process, and our perception sometimes can override our reality a lot, and trying to ground that. So I would definitely say in the recent years, this has become my hardest relationship to myself.
Thank you for that answer. So here's some shit. Liminal thinking cannot work if you have a fucked up relationship with reality. That's like trying to jump from a trampoline. It's like trying to jump from a trampoline. Your starting point is so skewed that you have no real tangible way to progress. That makes sense. Meaning, Shamar, have anybody ever, while you was giving them a stretch session, was like, why don't you just do this? Try this. No, do this. No, just do this. Just do that. Why don't you just do this? Anytime somebody tells you just do something, they have a fucked up relationship with reality. Why don't you just score 20 points a game, Jordan? Just do that. Like, you want to go to the league? Just score 20 points a game. Ain't never touched the ball in their fucking life. You want to build your business? Just do this, do that. Ain't never made $1 in entrepreneurship in their fucking life and had jobs their whole life and telling you what just to do. Those are all inclinations of terrible relationships with reality. Telling you just what to do with your relationship with your man, and they ain't never had one.
Somebody get the whoop.
People they got the just disease so bad. That is a huge inclination that your reality's messed up. When you set out to do something you think is going to be super easy, oh, we going to blow up big. I'm going to do this and it's going to be big things, man. We going to do this and it's going to be big. Your relationship with reality is fucked up. Just expect it to happen. All right. I expect. What do we want to expect right now? I'm not going to say it because you guys going to see my dark side. So let me shut the fuck up.
Hey, bro, I was sharing that one when we were with you.
We can expect. I expect reparations. Expectations don't do shit. Action, intention, goal. Expectation does nothing. Matter of fact, what expectation will end up doing the opposite. It'll make you arrogant and cocky and like you don't need nobody. So when even the slightest person wants to come and help you, they don't want to because they're like, you got it, cuz, go ahead. You wore people off. Those people have a distorted, terrible view of reality. Reality is the facts. Reality is data, not even all time data. It's absolute truths. Reality is your bank account. Reality is your emotional levels. It's reality. And if you're running from that, or you're hiding from it, or you don't want to see it, or you're covering your eyes, or you create this make-believe version of yourself because you don't want to tend to those broken parts of yourself, that's real. Liminal thinking this is just a bullshit ass class. It's the truth. So if you want to really turn this as a superpower, get comfortable with what's truth, what's real. What's real? From a micro level, from a macro level, and from a meta level. What's real? What is real?
And I think you can't be mad at people also
that try to comfort you with that statement of, don't go look at the person like, yo, you told me I should expect something, I don't want to listen to you. It's humans' attempt to try to comfort each other.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no wisdom in that. And when you're young, it's hard for you to separate the wisdom from the comfort. And so we say a lot of things in our culture that's so comforting. There's no wisdom in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, like when people do that to me, old people do it to me all the time, like, oh, baby, God, you were meant to do this. God bless you when you were first born. Thank you, Auntie. I appreciate that. I'm just telling her, thank you for the comfort, but I'm not about to go home and use that as any tool of planning my future. Not at all.
Right. Next slide.
The basic way that we learn how to be effective in life is called a learning loop.
Mm-hmm.
A continuous feedback cycle of needs, thinking, and action. Over time, this loop creates habits of belief and behavior.
Kaja, this is for you. This is for you, Kaja. This is for you, too. Tell me your name. Kendra. Kendra and Kaja. So, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Is you enter into the learning loop. So, it starts with that experience at the bottom, right? It's that experience. Then it's the attention. So then the attention, you create theories about what your belief could be. What does this mean? So with experience plus attention, the questions you start asking yourself is, what does this mean? And whatever answer you give yourself is a belief. Right? So then you take that belief and you attach action to it. So now you have a belief. It's the tip of the pyramid. You take action to it. Boom. Now you're basically trying it out. I'm testing it. Now, if you have liminal thinking and you're curious and you're observing, then you're not going to be emotionally tied to your answer. You're just going to observe it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a data point. It's a yes or a no. You're not even going to be tied to that particular result because you don't know if that was luck or if it was a fluke, real. The sun was shining on your ass that day. Who knows? But it's a data point. You put in the back of your mind. Then guess what? You do it again. Use that same belief. Oh, shit, 2 for 2. When you get to around 10 for 10, you're like, now this is going to be a belief of mine. If the belief doesn't work, now your liminal thinking kicks in and now you start a new loop. The arrow goes to a new experience. Let me try something different. Let me try something new. That's not working. It's not working. At the end of every class, at the end of every year, we scrub through this shit and be like, this ain't working. That ain't working. This ain't working. We want more, better. Let's try something new.
Mm-hmm.
So now you try something new. Then you go attention. Once you get past attention, you ask the question, what does this mean? When whatever your meaning comes, you come up with theories about what it means, and then boom, you have a new belief. And that's a continuous loop that you run through constantly. So if we're saying we're always upgrading our philosophies and beliefs, this shit is happening at all times. So if you jumped into a brain of an entrepreneur, you see plates spinning all the time, spinning and crashing. Not working, not working. And that's how you upgrade. That's why it don't matter where you start. That's why I love Jay-Z's quote. You put me anywhere on God's green earth, I'll triple my worth. Because it don't matter where you put me. With liminal thinking and a learning loop, sleep on me if you want to, shit. That's how you do it. That's the learning loop. That you can go from zero to where you want to be. In a perfect world, you can go with that type of thinking. You go from zero to where you want to be with that learning loop.
Can I just say, this slide is so fucking tight. This is the seed of a business. If I gave you a seed to start a business, like I said, what's my first seed? This is your first seed. You're like, what do you mean? Let me tell you where most companies, governance, mayors, businesses go wrong. They lose the reality of the customer they seek to serve. and it's because they stop their learning loop. They put all these people, like for example, if you want to talk to Mark Zuckerberg, you have to probably go through like a path of people, right? Well, that path of people that protects his time also blocks his learning loop. So after a while, he stops seeing the customer, and this is when a CEO and their intelligence will take the way they see reality, because reality is scaled, make a decision, and then the public's like, what the fuck were you thinking, right? This is why some of y'all marketing sucks, because you sit in a room and you lean on your education and your experiences and your past successes and think, oh yeah, I know what to do next. When one thing you have to realize, you're a grain of sand. And the more you grow, the more you become distinct from all the other sand. So every time you grow, every day you spend in this class, you're becoming more and more different than the public you're seeking to serve. And so you become so damn different. If you don't create a communication pipeline between the customers you're seeking to serve, no matter how intelligent you are, you're in a different world. And this is the seed, the absolute, like if you want to build a business, like where do you build your structures, your policies, your strategies, your designs, everything comes from, this is the seed of everything right here, which is, if I'm building something, what would the customer think? Well, if I'm building something, and how am I able to get that learning loop with my customer? But once you break that learning loop, because you get caught in your ego and you have these wins and these successes, you will build this beautiful, shiny building that no one comes to because no one understands what the fuck it is. And it might be the most brilliant invention that 100 years from now when you die, people celebrate you and you die broke because you built some shit because you came outside the learning loop. So this shit here is like everything. Everything. Like this is like your gospel. If you had to take anything and take a picture with your phone, put this shit on your desk every day. If you become a mayor, the way you fuck up, you ever seen, okay, so I saw the mayor having a discussion about the police chief, and she had some entrepreneurs up there that was shady as fuck behind her, but she don't have a learning loop. She just got there, who's an entrepreneur? Oh, you entrepreneur, come on over here. But if she had somebody in the community always just kind of like building relationships and talking to people, she'd know who's really who's fake, what's really going on, and know how to plug their relationships properly. So now she earns trust and authenticity with the community. But the reason a lot of leaders lose authenticity is because they break that learning loop and they can start speaking to the publicly from their space of, I am intelligent, I am a good person, and I can sense good people. No, the fuck you can't. You're a piece of sand that can't see, just your reality is just fucking small no matter how much power you get to you that surrounds you. So this is the seed of building.
The writer of this book was saying he got a job at Nokia. The time when, as soon as he got the job at Nokia, iPhone came in the game, and they said, "Hey, are you guys afraid of the iPhone?" He was like, "No, all they're gonna do is just open the market up." At the time, Nokia had 40% market share of the whole world. Now Nokia has 2% market share of the whole world.
That's huge. That's death.
That's because you stopped the learning loop. I'm killing. So absolutely, what he's saying is this is the foundation. Last slide.
Learning loops reinforce good and bad behaviors.
That's Oakland Public School education again. I'm sorry. I'm better than this.
I've been mispronouncing words all day, so I had to look at it again and be like, oh, Lord. Learning loops reinforce good and bad behaviors and are co-created by the people that participate in them.
So, crazy. Your learning loops. So think about that with cognitive dissonance. It drives it deeper. Governing beliefs drives it deeper. So say I got my bike stolen 3 times. Now it's a learning loop that keeps driving those beliefs deeper. And then if you have friends around you, man, I know, like, man, you think, because all 3 of my cars got bipped in downtown Oakland. So I'm thinking it's bippers everywhere, all day, every fucking place. Because if I got hit with 3 separate cars, they must be just sitting out there. Now, statistically, it feels like that, but statistically, still different numbers, right? But learning loops, me too. So this is a co-creation. Learning loops are co-creation by the people around you. That's why you got to make sure you got good people around you. Next slide. Damn, I think, all right, I want to go deep into this. So I think I'm going to stop on this last slide. I just did a nana. Fuck.
Yeah.
I just did a fucking nana. I didn't make it through my slides.
No, you're not. It's part of the game. But can you go back to that last one, though?
Go back
a little
to-
bit?
yeah.
Go back to the last one. That last one was so much. Dude, these
I
are
know
great
that,
slides.
That one was fire too, but I was trying to.
Just go back to the slide to the back, like last one. You know that's social justice?
Yeah.
Can anybody see social justice in that? You think white people can see you? You think white people really know the black folks that they try to serve? People of color says no one sees you. So when they don't see you, they don't have no learning loop. And then all the people participate in social justice because they all mean to be good, but they end up all participating in the problem. You see how cold that shit is? That's why when I say I hate social justice, it's not that I hate races. I love all race. I mean, I love people. I'm a people loving person, and I definitely don't have a problem with genders. That's none of this shit makes sense to me. What I'm saying is that the movement that's out there that's popular right now is coming from a space of individual arrogance and virtue signaling and status and narcissism. It's not coming from insight and sitting with people and dealing with the complexities of human existence.
So, absolutely. So I want to go deeper in that next week. So I'm gonna stop here.
Well, once you start next week, because this is really good. I'm enjoying this.
All right. Any last questions before we get out of here? Comments online? Everybody straight? Love y'all.
Yo, you
Appreciate
did a
y'all.
wonderful job,
Thank
bro.
y'all.
This was a good job. I
Appreciate
enjoyed
y'all.
this one.
Thank you.
Really good.